Taking moolah. I'm still getting my moolah. Ikutopia, teacher. See, is this one of those like a place this? Like, if I do that, that should be avoiding. Hello, hello, hello. Should I say good morning, Vietnam? Good morning. Good morning, Vietnam. For those of you that have actually seen that movie, what party do I support? I don't really have a party affiliation right now. I'd say I'm more of a unaffiliated person. When it gets closer to the election, I'll decide who I want to support. Um, right now, I like the Greens, but I'll still have to see. What about yourself? Are you a party person? I think supporting parties is a bit like having like supporting a football team. Right? You don't want to support one party because you want to wait to see what policies they have. Someone might say they support Labour now, but then Labour are supporting things I don't really like, so I can't just say I'm a Labour supporter. I'm a supporter of a party in as much as they support the things I support. Reform. I mean, Reform are a bunch of fools, man. Reform are basically conservatives with a lighter blue color, and they're a bit tougher on immigration. Is that spectacular? Like, if you think about Reform now, how different is Reform now to the Conservative Party of Theresa May that was doing the whole go home vans and all that kind of stuff? To me, not that much different. That's how I see it. So I don't really care much for Reform. It's all a branding exercise, which is why 80% of their MPs are literally Conservative Party for ex-Conservative Party people. You're not a fan of Polanski. Why? Um, Again, I'd say, yeah, I want to hear why you're not a fan of Polanski first before I comment on that. But I generally, again, don't really follow personalities. And again, Polanski hasn't really got much of an electoral record to speak of right now, so I can understand why someone might view him and be like, there's not much there. But I don't not like him. Like, I like the fact that he stands up to like the media class, because I think the media they have way too much power in our country, and they always try and bully politicians of both sides, for the left, the right, the middle, to doing whatever they want. So anyone that can call them out, kind of the way Trump does, and see how the way Trump embarrasses the media and is always called again. Not maybe not to that degree, because Trump he can be a fool about it, but it's always nice to be able to like call them out when they're being bad faith, because the media always, not always, but they engage in a lot of bad faith attacks. So being able to call that out and embarrass them for the foolishness they're doing, I always appreciate when someone can do that boldly. And so far, Zach Belansky's shown a willingness to do that, which I actually quite appreciate. But yeah, let's keep the questions coming. I'm trying to make this live stream something I do consistently. If you've been following me for a long time, when I had like 1,000, when I had 800 followers, I used to do live streams consistently. And the idea is meant to be What in World Weekly. Let's go and talk about what's going on in the world. If I have 9 people in here, why is no one tapping the screen, guys? Come on, I have one like. You guys make me seem like I'm lose. It's not that important, but it is kind of important. It does help more people come in here. So let me tap in the screen periodically when I'm cooking, so we can have. The idea is meant to be in the future. Imagine a world in which, in a couple months' time, we have 300 people in here, and we're regularly talking about all the latest things that's been going on in the world. I think that'd be really fun, right? So you guys can come on as guests. If you want to come on as a guest, do request. Come and tell me what you're feeling about what's been going on, anything you want to talk about. It's like a weekly roundup, exactly as it says on the tin. So that's meant to be the plan, and you know, the plan is to continue to grow that and to make this bigger and bigger and bigger, and to have like a platform. Someone came on my live the other day and they were like, "Thanks for putting this forum together." I love that word. It felt like a UN type of stuff. So yeah, the plan is to have this forum, as that guy said. I'm just trying to sort out my camera, where we can regularly discuss these things and just get together like-minded people talking about what's been going on in the world. If you can't hear me properly, do let me know. The far right is an indiscriminate term to demonize those who oppose the current political agenda. I mean, you're not far off. I put this article up because yesterday a friend of mine who's also into political stuff, he was telling me about, isn't it crazy how all the left-wing influencers are always just kind of like, not the best looking or whatever like that. And is the third one AI? Oh, good question. I've never seen her before. Let me actually try and see if I can see the names of these people. No, no, she's not AI. She's just Nordic. I don't know if you can even read that. Try zoom in. I was trying to zoom in, but then I think it's gonna. There you go. So she's not AI. She's just Nordic. She actually got banned from the UK. If you remember, like, this girl, she got banned from the UK recently, and she made a whole post about it because Keir Starmer didn't let her into the country, which I disagree with, by the way. Um, but yeah, so like, I came across this article because that person and the one of the girls in here, this black girl. Oh, it's behind the paywall. I can't even show you. But there's a black girl who was on this, and I follow her. She does like right wing type content, those kind of rage baity type stuff. So, a lot of these people, I don't look down on them. I just see them as opportunists. Which nowadays in our modern economy, people do a lot of stuff for money. So, if you're willing to, you know, carry water for or genuinely believe in some of these right wing stuff, and it pays you professionally or whatever, I can't really hate on that. I get it. We all get money somehow. If you've accepted statistics, you're probably far right. I mean, I don't know if I'll put it quite so simple. Um, I think someone mentioned that these people, like I guess their general kind of thing is opposing immigration, that kind of stuff. I was actually at the United Kingdom march a few weeks ago. I think some of my followers from here might remember that. And I'll be honest, a lot of people there do oppose like mass migration, if you want to call it that. But no one really had a coherent like logic or rationale for why. Yeah, I think someone just said that they're the rate bitch march. Exactly. Everyone's just like people have a different set of reasons. Hey, T100, what's up, man? Long time. I know I've let people like you down by not being consistent on this live, but I am back and I'm here to stay now. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. A combination of, like, I think one weekend I was gonna go live, and then it was a bank holiday, and so literally like everyone would have been out, so there was like felt like there was no point. But I could have just made a video to saying like I wouldn't be live. I can't just disappear. What's the topic today? The topic is, hey, process dummy back. I'm glad you can make it. I literally woke up like 40 minutes ago, process dumb. I'll be honest. I was so tired. The topic today is a combination of things. It's not meant to be fully coherent. I know I made a fly, didn't I? But there was also I added a what you call it, like a quick brief list of things I wanted to talk about. But it's not meant to be like well defined in any meaningful way. It's meant to be free flowing. Let me check my fly and see what I have on there. Because I've been doing more social content, so that's usually quite fun to talk about. Hold on a minute. I'm becoming the spokesman for Reasonable Men. I started a Reasonable Men series. If you guys don't know about that, you can check down my page. And it's just meant to be the male perspective on what's going on in the world from like a, I guess, gender, romantic, relationship type lens. And that's been taken off quite a bit, which is quite fun. So if you guys care about that, you guys can go check that out on my page. It's quite interesting stuff, I think. Of social stuff is generally, I guess, more widely easier to talk about or whatever. But obviously I try to do a lot, I do a lot of political stuff naturally because I'm very interested in that. Danny says if you mention the words per capita when you talk about statistics, you're definitely far. I wouldn't say that. Let me try and find my flyer. Oh, romantic self-esteem. That's the video I did recently that's taken off. Let me actually put that in my reasonable man takes before I continue. Um, 'Cause I talked about self-esteem when it comes to men and dating, and that video's been taken off. So the general synopsis of that is that you know what? Usually what I used to do is that I would have my X page ready to share, but I'll be honest, I haven't really been ready for that in that way. Let me see if my X page can come up. You guys probably won't be able to read it anyway. It's usually quite small and hard to read. And this is actually my outdated one. You can't even really see it. Well, I made a video talking about how if you're a type of guy that says, "Oh, thanks for the follow, Danny," would I be sat on this live if I was still in Africa? Why wouldn't I be? I might not have had the idea to be a content creator. I don't know, maybe my life was a bit different, but people live stream in Africa. Yes, the whole continent, 54 countries. There are some people that go live on TikTok on there. Shocker. That might surprise you, mate, but yes, that does happen. All right. Um, what was I saying? Anyway, I did a whole I did a whole what do you call it? A video on thank you user 616-6146-779393570 for the follow. I should do a follow counter, isn't it? Like a proper. Oh, by the way, I think that means I'm officially at 15K. Ooh, 15,003. Can you guys see that? No, you can't see that. Can you see that? Yay! Tap the screen to celebrate me. I'm finally there. Next step, 20K. Um, Ada Lutch is the sweetest person you know. Who's Ada Lutch? Oh, this one. I don't really know these people or what they do or why they do it. If it's not bad, why move here? I don't know. If ham isn't bad, why try salmon? If your house isn't small, why buy a bigger one? I don't know. Why do people do what they do? If your job is fine, why get a better one? I don't know. Why do that? It's not ridiculous. Okay. And the point is not about if it's bad or not. You said if I was in Africa, would I be live streaming? Your place doesn't have to be bad or good to live stream. Okay, buddy. It's not ridiculous. Anyway, I'm distracted. Let me go back to what I was saying. Um, so anyway, I was talking about romantic self-esteem and in men and how some men just see a woman as wait, what's something about about a liberal woman. GB, you're providing me good cannon fodder, so I'm gonna ignore you for now. But I'm not above just removing you from the thing. I'm not above that because you're irritating me and you're talking about stuff I don't really care for. But I'm a liberal and I love free speech. That's one of my defining principles. So I'm not gonna be a hypocrite on free speech and I'll let you come and say what you want. Well, this is my platform, by the way. So I retain the right to give you the boot, should I please or feel like. Anyway, I'm gonna start again for the third time about what I was talking about. I was talking about romantic self-esteem in men and go to a left-wing rally and show us what the woman. Yeah, you taking this really personal. Do you wanna date these women or something? Do you want these women really bad, really badly? I don't know why you're trying to like. It seems like you're trying to brag about these women like you know them personally. Like, oh, our women are so hot. These people don't know you, GB. Like, they don't give a fuck about you. I don't even know where you are, where you're from. They don't care. Okay, so I put the comment in there as like a joke, just to kind because I remember talking about it. But like, stop trying to brag about them, like you and them are friends. Like they don't know you. Okay. Anyway, I'm getting distracted for the third or fourth time. And it's not a competition. Like it was just like a little joke. Liberal women, everyone has hot women everywhere. Like it's not really that serious. Anyway, I made the 33 people in here. I love that. If I have 36 people in here and none of you follow me, you should be following me, by the way, because of course I am the fastest growing commentary account since this side of who's a really big commentary account. I don't really know that many. Anyway, boosting about women exactly like shut up. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know why he's getting so excited about them. Like, all the liberal women are not hot, bro. Go get them if you want to, man. Talk about. Anyway, what was it? Where was I? I was talking about. Now before I go into that whole thing, I do think it's actually quite a smart thing because this is probably how you can explain. Look, not exactly how, but the attraction young men and young people generally have to right-wing content. I think it is a lot more organized. And part of the organization is stuff like this. Like, I don't think these people were like farmed in a lab somewhere. I think these are people who are good looking, who are really ambitious, who figured out that actually I can make a lot of hay by appealing to people that are into this kind of content because a lot of these people tend to be quite they're male, you know they want to associate with like attractive stuff because they see like woke as being like a thing from the past and this woman with purple hair or whatever. So it also speaks to, I don't want to be mean to anyone that believes in this kind of stuff, the gullibility, I'll be honest, of a lot of these right wing people, in that if you have a woman that's pretty and saying it, everyone just kind of eats it up. And that's why you have people like this. In fact, when the right wing kind of content was growing, Candace Owens and stuff, she was kind of created. She was an invention of people like Charlie Kirk and their kind of right wing, network because they genuinely wanted someone to appeal to black people. And they knew that if they had a white person talking about how black culture is trash and this, that, and the other, it's going to be perceived as racist. So if we have a black person who's a woman saying it, it's a lot more effective. So, if you're someone that really believes in this right-wing content, again, I'm not saying there's not value in that as a political position, but you have to be okay with the fact that part of the ways they're doing it is because they kind of feel like you're gullible, and all they have to do is put a pretty face in front of you and have it saying stuff, and you're gonna eat it up. Hey, Kosi, well done. Hey, how are you, man? Long time. And so, what you see a lot of the times with these things is that, again, this is why it becomes very attractive to young men because it's seen like quite chic and hot, and all the young people are in it. Like you have hot people like this, and then you even have people like GB talking about how, oh, show us the liberal women, they're not that hot. Too easy. You're too easy, GB, man. The whole leftist ideology stems from the same people at genocide in Gaza. Are you suggesting that the Israeli government is leftist? I don't really get it. I'm not really following. But that is why this is up. Maybe they actually believe what they no no. I'm not saying they don't believe what they preach. Like I think some of these people genuinely believe it. But would I not be like would it be beyond the realm of possibility to be like some of these people know that there's a lot more money to be made in being portrayed as like a darling of the right than they do being portrayed as like I don't know some kind of centrists, whatever you want to say. I mean, I think there's a lot of hate like in that kind of angle. Like I wouldn't put it past them. Like again, these are really really ambitious people. Like these people make content because they want to make money. I find that very hard to believe. Like these three women, the primary reason why they're making the kind of content they're making is because they genuinely care about mass migration. I mean, they might care about it on some kind of, oh, yeah, as a political position, somewhat. But the major reason why they do this kind of content is because they want to make money. And when you want to make money, this is the easiest way to do it. Like, this is the content that sells the most, that attracts the most audiences, because it's such a nice kind of not contradiction, but the fact that you have an extremely pretty woman talking about the problem of migration is just more attractive. Kind of the same way, really, like, I do content, and I'm sure some of my appeal is the fact that I'm black and I'm pretty young and I have tattoos and I go to the gym. So usually you associate political content with people that are more like nerdy looking or whatever. And I do wear glasses, maybe that's some of my nerdiness being shown. But if you have a different identity, like physical identity, and it's like a nice counter to what you're talking about, it can be quite nice. It's like seeing a really hot woman, being like a maths professor. Ooh, it's like interesting, like you don't see that every day, that kind of thing. Like that is definitely part of their appeal, and so I'm pretty sure, like that's on purpose. That is very intentional. Trust me. In fact, one of the girls, she's called Based on Bougie, and again, that whole thing is meant to be like I'm really bougie and pretty and stuff like that, but I also care about the stuff that these people care about, and people like that kind of stuff, especially if you're trying to portray the fact that we're not all just like sexist, misogynist, blah blah, whatever people label us as we're not really that. Having people like this be like, the front people for your movement is definitely better than having someone like Tommy Robinson, who, let's be honest, just grates a lot of people. Like, you can invite someone like Eva Vladimir, whatever you pronounce her name, sorry if I'm butchering that. You can invite her onto BBC. She looks the part, she's made for TV. You're gonna have a lot of people nodding along and agreeing with her just because she's attractive anyway. Compared to someone like Tommy Robinson, who's gonna go on there and a lot of people are just going to find him jarring just for one reason or another because, she has a more jarring personality. So come on, like that's therefore something that's intentional. Are they making bank? Nah, I'm sure it's a very profitable enterprise. Like, I blocked GB now. Actually, it was irritating me. I don't even mind someone having, I don't know if you want to say counterculture views, but at least make it relevant. Like he was just talking randomly about people in Africa not having the internet and stuff. Like, what's the correlation to what I'm doing and what you're talking about? That kind of stuff you miss me on. Again, I very much prefer. I like, adversarial stuff. Come at me, disagree with my positions and stuff like that. But if you're gonna start making it about something that's not even relevant to the conversation, now you're losing me. Okay, I'm sorry to say you're losing me. Okay, and Wolfred for sure they're making money. Like it's a very profitable enterprise, Because once you get to like two, three, like I remember this girl based on Bougie again. I have some admiration for her because I like seeing people succeed and do what they do. But I remember seeing for the longest time she was on like 11K, 12K. Now she's on like 200K. She was invited to Piers Morgan. like she's in this Telegraph article, which I would show you guys if it wasn't behind the paywall. And so, if you can grow much faster, like if you're doing something like centrist content, like what Rory Stewart and the other guy does, Alistair Campbell does, you're not gonna go very fast. Like nowadays, our politics and our content or whatever is about polarization because anything in the margins just doesn't really excite people, which is kind of really why you're seeing even centrist politics kind of fall apart because people are not really interested in, oh, responsible government. Let's make sure the deficit is exactly 2% of GDP. No one cares about all that. Tell us what you're going to do in a big, bold, brash, loud way. That's why Trump is president. Because Trump came in saying, we're going to have healthcare for everyone. We're going to have the biggest, most beautiful military, blah, blah, blah. You have to really gas it up and sell it um, on both sides. And I guess you could probably make the point that people on the left don't really do that as much. I mean, I think I'm on the left normally. I don't see myself as a leftist commentator because I'll be honest, I go at a lot of our lefty or perceived leftist politicians as much as the right wing ones. So I wouldn't say I see myself as being on the left, but I do think again, being very being very brash in your opinions and loud about it is exactly how you do it. There's nothing like center. You know what? Rainwater. It's funny you mentioned that because I did a video, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, about the fact that the Overton window has just basically been completely destroyed. Um, it really is just like you have to pick a side. Like there's no reasonable center anymore. Maybe someone could argue that this never has been, right? Because if you look at all the centrist politicians, really just there's just been right wingers. And even what right wingers nowadays, it's not really well defined, right? Like you have people that claim to be right wing, like I mean again, it is a claim, but then they'll support stuff like non-interventionism, which is like more of a leftist position, but they might support it from a racist perspective, which is like all these dastardly Arab people, let's just leave them to their land and let them sit in their own whatever, whatever. We don't really want to associate with them. So it's like non-interventionist, but in a racist in a racist way, not in like a oh let's just not ruin their countries because they're also human beings kind of way. And so you're seeing a kind of fragmentation of left, right, everything's everything else, and you know, is that good for our politics? I think so. I guess the labels shouldn't really matter at the end of the day. What matters is policy. So just because someone says they're on the left, what does it mean? If you're on the left and you're supporting what's happening in Gaza, well, you're not on the same left as I am because I don't support that. So if Keir Starmer's gonna say he's a centre left guy, that is not my definition of centre. I don't want you on my political side. You're my political enemy. So yeah, I think you're right in saying that. So you're pretending to be in the centre because what do you mean you're not left? Well, I don't say I'm not a lefty. I'm just saying like I don't know if the definitions for lefty nowadays like is coherent. Like I'm definitely, like, I guess I wouldn't say I'm not on the right wing. I guess I am lefty. I am lefty. I think I mentioned earlier. I wouldn't say I'm a lefty political commentator, but I guess maybe I am. I suppose I am. Like I do believe in. Oh, I should brush my hair. Make sure I look good. I do believe in part of the appeal of these content creators is that they look really nice, isn't it? So maybe I should start getting a trim for every live stream, just so I can look fresh. And then eventually I'll get to like a Sam Piker level and start wearing a suit. Just to make sure like I'm always putting my best foot forward. I guess I am on the left brain water. If you're gonna corner me, I guess are you guys talking to each other? Thank you for the follow, M. Thank you for the follow, Rainwater. I appreciate that. I should put a follow counter in here, shouldn't I? Or something like that. People be doing that. That's what one of the true content creators. That's what they do. I'm still learning. Some people are in favor of wars which create refuge. Exactly, exactly, Barack. That's exactly the point I had when I was at the United Kingdom rally. I was talking about how again a lot of these people oppose immigration, and I think there's a video of mine that went like semi-viral where I asked the guy about us supporting the US destroy Iran, and he was like, oh, but why are we talking about? Because he was getting frustrated because he was like, oh, why are there loads of flags from all these other countries, and why are people talking about Gaza and stuff like that? And I was like, well, because we're destroying the place, you know. If you destroy people's countries, they should come and live in your country. You're the one that destroyed their country. Like it's very easy to not create these refugees. Leave these people alone. Now we're destroying Gaza, and obviously Israel's making actual plans to remove the population. I don't want to say the other word for what they're actually doing. Those are like over a million plus people. Where are those people gonna go? Eventually, now our government might say, "Oh, because we're being nice." we're gonna allow 1,500 Palestinian people to come to the UK. Then you're gonna have Reform doing a whole march saying, we don't want them in our country. We don't know who they are. Why are they here? I mean, we've been helping do the genocide there for the past how many months, like how many years? And now you guys don't want them in the country? Well, if you didn't want them in the country, maybe if you didn't destroy all their homes, maybe they would have a place to stay. Have you thought about that? So that's where, like, again, I wouldn't. But the unfortunate thing about people like these people is like they don't really make the connection, and it's almost like it's not their fault because when I point out to the guy that like the US is destroying Iran, and if they're doing that with our help, he conceded that actually no, you're right. Like, given that they're using our the wrong ways and stuff to bomb Iran, like we are involved in that war. And so he's someone that if I talk to him for 5 more minutes, I can probably get him to agree with me that we should oppose that war. But if you don't have that kind of people coming in, if I was there talking, giving that kind of perspective and angle, a lot of people there don't really do that. Then you can see why this person might just go home thinking, actually, all these people are just here because our country's so good and they want to, ruin our culture, blah blah blah. As opposed to actually, we have a hand in destroying their country. Iran is a country of 90 million people. And the US government, the UK, Israel, they were literally trying to engineer total state collapse in Iran. What does that look like if you destroy a country and collapse the state of 80, no, was it 90 million people? Where are they meant to go? They're going to go to your country. That 90 million is a lot of people. Like, we don't want to see 90 million people not have a place to go and be stateless and their country all destroyed and ruined. But that is what we were trying to do. And that is gonna then foment the new far right craziness of what everyone's talking about. Why do we have so many Iranian people coming in here taking our land and stealing our culture? Blah 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 blah. We could have just left those people alone to run their country how they want to run their country. We didn't have to destroy it for no reason. Like that was really unnecessary. I turn this light down or up. I feel like it's it's too okay. Is that better? I don't know if that's better or not. I think the brightness was just so white. It was just kind of I wasn't really liking that. Do I have any Iranians in the chat? Shout out to my Iranian people. Much love. I interviewed some Palavists when I was at the UTK march, and these people are true lunatics. One of them was talking about how they want Greater Israel in Iran. Eh? You want Greater Israel where? Oh man. Explain the UK's involvement in the Iran war. A great question. You know what? Let me show you something. Let me show you the UK's involvement in the Iran war. This is our involvement. We are flying B-52 bombers, amongst other aircraft, by the way. Yeah. So because the US is so far from Iran and the UK is much closer, the bombers fly from the UK to Iran to go and bomb it. So that's how we're involved. Because if someone was flying planes from France to come and bomb Scotland, I think you'd say the French are involved in a war against us, wouldn't you? So I don't know if you asked that because you genuinely didn't know or not. So apologies if I'm being a bit snarky there. I'm just genuinely didn't know. But like, this is how we're involved. I mean, and also the other aspect is that we're also involved because we're allies of Israel. And let's be honest, Israel couldn't do it. I won't say they couldn't do it without us because really the US is the linchpin here. But like, it's not exactly like we oppose it. Let's be real. Like the plan that Israel had for Iran, the UK knew about it. I'm sure. Like well before it started. Like well before it happened, they knew. And so again, them knowing is not the same as them being like complicit and like involved. But I mean, now the bombers are flying from our bases. So oh my goodness, appeal. It's suspending my live thing because apparently I'm repurposing content. Even though what I do, I've told TikTok a few times, what I do is literally political stuff. So sometimes I have to give people the news, and show them what's going on because I actually don't want to spread fake news. That's why I do what I do in the way I do it. But interesting. When I showed the Telegraph stuff, they didn't give me this warning. So then when I showed the UK the BBC stuff, there's a few questions. So let me try and see if I can get to it. Um, Yeah, the lamb's mission diplomatic cover, which is also true. You'd be crushing the right wing yet. So you actually talk politics at work, Luca. It's kind of hard. A few times I wanted to talk politics at work. One of my former project managers, he was from Belgium, and he was talking about how China's so bad, and they try to do this, try and do that, and I was just smiling. I was like, people have zero introspection. Who do I think wins the next general elections? I'll be honest, I think Labour still might have a majority. I know right now everyone's on the reform high, but I think in a world in which an election gets announced and we have like a year to plan, Labour has probably stolen some of the right wing thunder of reform by being so tough on immigration. So I think they have that to kind of, take. And the idea that reform is going to go from 4 MPs now to what, 325? Is that what they need to run the country? 326? It just seems hard to do. Like in a parliamentary democracy, that is incredibly difficult. So Labour might not win a majority like like a super majority like they have now, but I can see a world in which appeal not approved. Fair enough. With real Akabara, union members restored recommendation and such. Fair enough. In a world in which what do you call it? Um like an election comes, the idea that these people are gonna go from 4 MPs to 326, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think they might win 100. Labour might come down from, I think Labour has like what, like 400 and something now or something like that. Labour might come down from that to like maybe 250, like 230, that kind of stuff. But I don't think we're gonna have a reform majority. I just don't see that happening. It's unlikely. That's my view. Um, do I follow any political party? Not really. I'm not a fanboy of any political parties. I have my own beliefs and ideas, and when the election comes around, I look at who best represents that. But I've said on my channel a few times that I'm very much a privileged person, so I vote mainly on foreign policy issues. Like whoever wins reform, Labour, Tories, it's not really going to make a huge difference for my life financially. I'll be honest, economically. But what I do care about is parties that care about countries we're destroying. So if you're a party like any of the three main parties we have right now, that's what we're doing in Gaza. I'm not gonna support you. I'm sorry, I'm not. But if you're a local Green MP and you're prevaricating on what we're doing there, I'm not gonna support you. I'm very sorry. Isn't China run by a communist party? It is indeed. The Chinese are communists. I mean, again, we were talking earlier about left wing and right wing. In 2026, what does it even mean to be communist? Who really knows? China's are washing just as much, corporations as we are, and they have the same level of, not the same level, but some level of political corruption. I guess the difference in communism, in the way I see it in 2026, is that power is concentrated in the political establishment, whereas in capitalism, power is concentrated in the business um, establishment or enterprise, whatever you want to say. So in our countries, or maybe yeah, our country, the US is probably a better example. The rich people have way more power than the politicians. Whereas in places like China, the politicians have way more power than the rich people. And so it kind of depends on what you like. Do you prefer the power to be concentrated in the political establishment or the business establishment? Um, some people would say the political establishment just because, like we see in China, for example, when Jack Ma was talking a bit too much, they got him out of here. Now no one even hears about Jack Ma anymore. So they did what they had to do. Whereas the downside to that could be a country like Nigeria, where I'm from, where power is concentrated in the um in the political establishment, but it's done to like to loot and steal and to give favorable business contracts to people and not get anything done. That's not really great. But I guess one could argue that ultimately in the long run, you have more of a chance of exerting meaningful pressure on the political establishment than you do on the business one, because the business one will always be unaccountable to you, because unless you're a shareholder, you really don't give an F what you have to say. So pick your poison, really. I guess the Chinese would say their system is doing really well given how fast the economy is growing. But Shay, if you want to know more, do make sure you give me a follow. Feel free. Yeah, Labour's not. Yeah, I would say Labour's not winning like an outright majority, but I think Labour will still have the most MPs if an election comes around next time around. I'm pretty sure. I mean, they did that at the local elections. I feel like local elections is a bit different to like an MP type stuff. Like, I don't know, turnout is much lower. People don't really pay attention like that. And also, to be fair, the fact that they did it at local elections also means that they have more of a chance to mess stuff up, and Labour can then go in and say, "Oh, look how bad these people have done. Bring us back in." If you don't support Labour, then you don't support the UK. Okay, Bento Brit. I mean, GT, I think they'll get way more. I don't know. If they get way more than 100, I think that's really good. But going from four political points, four MPs to like 200 and something is genuinely very difficult to do. And in fact, some of the MPs right now are just defectors, right? It's not exactly like they won an MP's like a seat or something like that. So I think again, doing very well on like a a countrywide thing is probably quite different to win an MP seat. But I guess we'll all be proving right or wrong very soon, potentially. All the parties at the moment are terrible, yes, because they all support genocide. Voting on foreign policy is wild. Why is that wild? It's an unusual position, but again, like I said, if you think about it this way, GT, yeah, yeah, like if if the Conservatives have a majority, what exactly are they going to do that's going to be so different to Labour? More austerity? I mean, we've already seen austerity. Labour are doing what the Conservatives were doing 5, 10 years ago. Reform have already pledged to do their own version of austerity, and you know, I guess their one might be more harsh on immigrants and stuff like that, but it's still austerity. It's just you're just pretending to go after someone different. So, at that point, there's really not much differentiator between the three main parties. And so, also voting on foreign policy is kind of like it's a protest in a way, isn't it? Like the people in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Iran, they're defenseless. They have no one to advocate for them in the UK. So the least I can do is just give them a vote and say, I wanna use my vote to help you out and vote against parties. Like if 60% of I don't know all the people in the polls, I think a clear majority of people in the UK do not want us to be doing a genocide in Gaza. If that same majority of people are committed to voting for, non-genocide parties, we wouldn't be supporting genocide. It's really that simple. So, and it's a long shot, but why not? Social programs are overtaxed. What are you guys talking about in here? Do you see the massive gap between rich and poor in China? UK is as communist as hell. UK is communist now? What are you guys talking about? You're losing me. Oh, someone just came in with the romantic conversation I was having on the thing. At the end of the day, most modern day love is transactional. So getting money, so getting money, it, getting money up isn't that crazy. I think you're referring to the video I made, which has gone semi-viral. The point of that video isn't that getting your money up is bad. Now, for context, for those of you that haven't seen the video, I made a video which I talked about how some men see really attractive women and they're like, oh, I gotta get my money up. And I said that was a manifestation of low self-esteem. And some people in the comments understood what I'm talking about. Some people are confused, and I think some people are like Dino here, and talk about how modern dating is transactional. So getting your money up to be able to like, I guess, date better isn't bad. But I don't think that's generally the point. I thought I explained it in the video quite well. If you're someone who sees someone who's really attractive, and you think I have to get my money up, I guess quite literally, you're someone that thinks money is how you get that kind of person. Now, I imagine it does help, but if you're trying to get your money up because you want to be able to afford this person that you think you deserve, your self-esteem is low. I'm sorry, that's just true. That's gonna affirm how you feel about yourself, how you view yourself, and so that's really why you're doing it. There's a part of you that thinks, oh, the reward for having money is having an attractive person to be with, and it's really that simple. You don't want to have money because you want to be able to afford like yourself and all the things you want to give to yourself. And in fact, what you also find is that a lot of people like this, they don't really spend that much money on themselves, but they do spend a lot of money on women and other people. Because again, the locus the locus of their identity is being able to afford someone like that. And so they don't know what to do with themselves if they don't have a girl like that. Um wait, there's a very interesting conversation going on about Chinese democracy here. She says China literally has no democracy. I don't need to Google nothing. Well, Jay, I will interject and say I wouldn't say China has no democracy. I think their democracy just looks a bit different to us. And so, we fancy ourselves as democracies. And I do think there's differences, like there's levels. Like, I think the UK is more democratic than the US. But just because the US has voting, popular election voting, doesn't really mean they're that democratic. And in fact, speaking of that, I'm going to show you an interesting article, which was a summary of a study conducted by Princeton University that concluded that the US is not a democracy, actually. The US, yeah, we, Britain, but yeah, the US is an oligarchy. And the reason they say that is because the US is dominated, as they say, by a rich, oh, if I can't even read that, can you? By a rich and powerful elite. And essentially, the more money you have, that is, like, you can see your political opinions being represented in policy. Whereas the people that have no money, they have no representation in policy whatsoever. That's not democratic. And again, we're seeing that right now with what's going on with Iran. I'm pretty sure the majority of the US population don't want war with Iran. They're gonna have it anyway because no one cares what they think. Yeah, Congress is meant to be able to declare war on people. Trump just did the war anyway and said, "I don't give a f what Congress has to say because we're not a democracy. I don't have to listen to what the people want." So again, you might dunk on China. China is actually, to me, more democratic than the US in the sense that you can see clearly, maybe clearly is the wrong word to say, but what the people really want in China is happening. Like China has lifted 800 million people out of poverty in the past 30 years. Do you think the people want that? I'd say so. So very clearly, their positions are being represented in policy. China has been militant about poverty reduction in the way that the US, I mean, I'm taking the US as one example, in the way that the US has just never even bothered to do. So how can you say, oh, okay, whatever. How can you say China, the US is more democratic than China? I don't know. It doesn't seem to me like it's not the case. Like it's just not true. Like yeah, the UK isn't much better, but I do think we don't have as much money influence, at least now anyway. Like I guess because we're a parliamentary system, right? The thing about parliamentary system is that the political situation is more fragmented because you're really just voting for your local MP. Like Keir Starmer's prime minister, but it is just MP of his seat. And in the next election, Keir Starmer has as much of a chance to lose his seat as anyone, maybe less because he has more power. But like ultimately, you can just vote for one person for an area. So that is a lot more. It's harder to kind of use money to overwhelm that kind of system than it is the US system where you have, you know, a constitutional republic, not exactly a democracy actually, technically by definition, which is a bit different. Anyway, Brandon, he said something interesting about you had to go on a first date, ask how much money you had saved for a house deposit. Maybe she was just like ready. Was she ready to buy a house and she was just wondering if you guys can combine money or something. A man increasing his financing for dating is less about self-esteem and more about social strategy. I mean, social strategy is a fancy word, it's a fancy phrase which sounds good, but I don't even really know what it means. What does that mean, social strategy? What's the strategy about? I need more money to be able to afford to date more attractive people. I think I'm not even trying to mansplain or anything, but I feel like as women, you just don't understand it as easy as us. I'm a man and I experience it, and I tell you, I'm pretty sure, like, not even pretty sure, I can say it with very good certainty that the men that speak that way, their self esteem is low. I think, generally speaking, as men, when it comes to romantic situations, our self esteem is probably less than women's anyway, just because we're always in a chasing position. So when you're always in a chasing position, it can knock your confidence, it can be a bit hard. And of course, like, it's harder for us in a general sense because, again, I guess I guess it's not just for men, right? All the people that are really wanted are oversubscribed. Like, if you think about even as a woman, right, the kind of really attractive guy or like has loads of money, or maybe you don't care about money, or the kind of guy you want, most women want him too. Like, there's a reason for that. So I think it goes both ways, right, in any kind of situation. All the men that people want, women want them. All the women that people want, men want them, and so it just becomes much harder. And so I guess trying to differentiate yourself. But I do think there's a whole guy phenomenon that needs to be explored about. I've had friends say to me like they were worried about the fact that if they stop, you know, being able to afford nice stuff for their girl, the girl might leave them because let's be honest, attractive women also really have loads of options, right? And so in a world where a woman can choose to be with someone that can buy her loads of stuff versus someone that maybe cannot, I guess if you're interested in people buying you loads of stuff, it's just much easier to choose a person that can buy you loads of stuff. And again, the bar is low for women in that way. So again, when I say this, I know what I'm talking about. Anyone that disagrees with me is just wrong. I'll be honest. You're just wrong. There's no debate to be had here. And like I said, the guys that get it because it's more or less fact. What's happening here? You're spending on holiday visitors. Listen, I'm trying to save for a house deposit. I was speaking to someone the other day who wants to sell their house. Seems like we're entering that interesting stage where the house prices are moving farther and farther away. At least for London and places like that, anyway, that it doesn't really seem worth it because the more you try to save, the prices just kind of move away even farther. It just gets kind of long. Shay said it must be opposite there. I don't know if you're replying to what I'm talking about with China and the US. I don't know if you're disagreeing with me. Sorry, the conversation's moving on quite rapidly. They make more wealth to they're not democratic even when their poor people are richer than us. So are you talking about the US or China? They make more wealth, the people? Sorry, I don't know what you meant. Oh, she wanted to combine to buy a house together in London on the first date. Wow, she must have really liked you. Someone just said footballers. Sorry, I don't know footballers. Century Finances allows you to navigate dating scene, reliant on men being providers. Sorry, my chat is slow. Sorry, there's a lot going on. I'm trying to reply to like three conversations at once. It's kind of fun actually, but it's also kind of I'm losing the thread a little bit. Okay, I think I'll part the chat. The US has more wealthy people because they have more favorable policies for rich people. I mean, that's one way to put it. Another way to put it would be like the US elite regularly trample on poor people to try and make way for even richer richer people to have all the money. They literally steal from the poor people in their country to make sure rich people have more money. I mean, I guess those are favorable policies, but that is one way of describing an extremely evil and brutal way of governance. But fair enough. Century Finances allows you to navigate dating scene reliant on men being providers. Yeah, you see, that's another thing as well, right? As a guy, have you ever think when men think about what they look for in dating and when women think about what they look for, it's so different. Like a guy doesn't go into a dating thinking, I really like a woman who's also a provider who makes more money than me. Guys literally just focus on it's much simpler for you because you don't really need any of that. You're expected, not even just to provide, but at least just to have like to be good by yourself. Um, Whereas women can go into a dating thing and be like, well, it'd be nice to have someone that makes more money than me. We can be a provider. We can be a protector. We can have this. We can have that. And so again, our what do you call it? What we're looking for in these things are just so different. Um, and so that's why I think a lot of times women don't really understand when I say like that comes from a place of low self-esteem. They're like, oh, what's so wrong about wanting to center finances and make sure your finances are good? That's not what that means. And I think maybe the female equivalent is like, let me try and think of a female equivalent sentence. Like you see someone that has loads of money, and then you're like, oh, I really want to get prettier so I can attract a man like that. Your self-esteem is low. If you're a woman that says, you see a guy that has loads of money, and you're like, oh, I need to get really prettier so I can attract a man like that. What are you really saying? Think about what you're saying. Play it out in your head. You want to get really attractive because that's the prize for men like that. Those kind of men are looking for people like that. And so for you to be able to be appealing to them, you have to look better than you look now. I mean, I suppose like, yeah, but you would just want to look better just because like as a person, you just take pride in your appearance and wanting to look good. But if you're doing it because you want to be able to attract a guy that has loads of money, self-esteem is low. Yeah, like, to me, it's obvious. That's how I see it. Can you give an example of that? I don't know if Che, if you're referring to, if you're talking to someone in the chat, if you're talking to me. I probably need to have having like 5 conversations at once. It's my fault. It's also fun to do. The pharmaceutical industry does say breaking your news at everyone talking to the hosts. Shay, sorry, you say you were talking to me about what? I missed something. Guys, let's be civil. Come on, come on. Didn't the current administration launch a project with Mark Cuban to tackle this? Or are you talking about the drug prices? I mean, if you have to team up with a billionaire to tackle drug prices when everyone else already pays much lower prices, that suggests that you're kind of overcomplicating a very simple issue. Like the UK pays much lower drug prices than the US because the government buys the drugs and we buy it from them at a fixed price. Like if I suppose that's socialist or communist, but it's just the best thing involved for everyone. It's the best thing for everyone involved. Like the drug companies can still make a bit of profit, but we can't have you making runaway profits because your goal is just to make as much money as possible. We don't really want that. The primary goal of making drugs is to like, give people that need the drugs. I think that's what you're talking about here. So I don't know, Shake, do you want to come up and talk to me about it? If you're not feeling shy, you seem like you have a lot to say about this issue. Feel free to come up. Request a mic. Don't be shy. Let me see if I can send you a request. I'm starving. Oh man. Oh, it doesn't let me do that. Does it not let me do a hosting thing? Is that part of my restrictions? I can't host people. Oh no, I can. Oh, I can. I can. See if you're curious, by the way. If you're interested, I'll send you an invite. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear Shay as well, by the way, just to make sure like my audio stuff is optimized. Let me know if you can't hear her. You can hear me. Can you hear her as well or not? This always happens when I do this. There's always some kind. You can't hear Shay yet. Oh god damn it. Uh-oh. Wait, say something now. Oh, okay. I think she's gonna come back and fix something. I think I also was muted on the. I muted my laptop thing, so maybe that's why. That's also didn't help.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I know you can hear me, but I don't know if the chat can hear me.
I think they should be able to hear you now. Yeah, they can hear you now. I want to turn my audio down a little bit. All right, you say you disagree with a lot.
Someone said can't hear.
No, no, they can't. They can't. No,
Oh,
that
okay.
happened a while ago. They can hear both. They can hear both now. Hello, welcome to the audience, to the chat, to the what do you want to say? Welcome to One World Weekly. You say you disagree with a lot of my views. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I do because I just feel like you're just on the left and I'm not.
You're not on the left. How do you
So we
describe
just don't
your political worldview?
like I'm more conservative with a lot of things. So
Like what? Give me an example. We're talking right now about this
uh,
capitalism, communism stuff. You seem to say
yeah, like you guys are trying to say that China they have like they're more democratic than the United States. Like that's not true.
so you and
Like
you.
you're saying like the Chinese have more democracy than Americans.
How do you define democracy then? Let's maybe we should start with that.
Like for example, like they're literally run by a communist party. Like communism literally goes against democracy. So it's
But
kind of like
so let me just put you go on.
yeah, no, because there was someone in the chat saying like, oh, communism isn't inherently bad, just like capitalism. But I was also asking like, okay, so what's actually good about communism? And then he said something like social programs or whatever. And then that's when I was like, yeah, but these programs, they like heavily tax the middle class. So, because what genuinely happens is that the rich tend to move and then the tax burden just falls on the middle class and it just stays on the middle class. And then,
So you'd
yeah.
say China's communist, right?
Yeah, because they're run by a communist party.
So and you'd say like that's not
So
democratic. But this is the World Bank, right? It's the World Bank, which is not exactly a communist group. talked about how China lifted 800 million people out of poverty. Is that good or bad? Would you say that's an
Lifted
achievement?
8 million.
Would you say that's an achievement, or would you say that's an achievement?
Yeah, I guess that's good, but what is it? Okay, that's just a title. What is that actually about?
Even as like, I'm zooming in now.
What is that article actually about?
It's from the World Bank, and they talked about how over the past 40 years they've lived like 800 million people have basically come above the global extreme poverty line. So this is the
Oh, okay,
fastest poverty reduction program in the history of humanity. Is that good? Do you like that?
that sounds good.
Oh, okay, right. So the question when you're talking about democracy earlier, my point to you was that the way I think about democracy is how useful are you being to your population? Like you can have a branding like Nigeria is a democratic country, but what's democratic? What's democratic about it? Like it's democratic in name
I
and
don't
brand,
even know much about.
but look, Nigeria is a very corrupt country, and we have the most extreme poverty people in the world.
Okay, so so is China like a one party?
Yeah, yeah, one party state,
Um,
more or less. Yeah, 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 basically.
so okay, but yeah, that's my point though. They don't have the, like, for example, Jamaica, for example, right? People are saying that our current, like, a lot of people on the left in Jamaica are saying that, like, they don't like our conservative, like, prime minister, right? So they're saying that basically he's a dictator and all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, the Jamaican people are able to vote. Like, they made a vote and they chose him to be in power. And I just feel like people are just saying he's a dictator because they don't like the fact that he's in power. Whereas there's countries like China where they don't even have an option. They just have to take what they can get. Like, they can't vote for anything other than communism. Like, they just have to
So do you think?
be underneath.
So are you Jamaican then?
Yeah, I am Jamaican.
So given the fact that China has been able to achieve this with poverty, basically eradicate extreme poverty, China is consistently one of the fastest growing economies in the world and is on track to overtake the US. High speed rail, AI, renewable energy. Do you think if the people of Jamaica had a choice, do you think they would prefer this kind of leadership or the kind of leadership they have now? What do you think they would choose?
Well, to be honest, they are in favor of China. So I would say they would choose because
Okay,
they like,
exactly. So it's about
because
results, right? It's not necessarily about the branding is irrelevant. Is my point. Like whatever you brand yourself as, it doesn't really matter. Like, if you brand yourself as a democracy, like Nigeria is branded as democracy, but we are the poverty capital of the world. That's completely meaningless. That means to me, like the way I would say you should think about democracy is how responsive is the government to the actual needs of the people. And if a government like China, like the people, the leadership of China, they don't really have to lift people out of poverty, right? If they were just like this communist that just wanted to, run the country and do whatever they want, they could just be stealing money and just be, basically running the country to the ground, right? But they're able to respond.
so are you basing, okay, can I ask you a question?
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, go on. No,
Um,
you can go on.
Yeah, so my point is they're able to respond to the needs of the people. Like the people don't want to be poor. The people want high speed rail. They want to be able to connect their cities. Like they want to be able to travel one place to another much faster, move their goods much faster. They want renewable energy. If the government is doing all of that, what does it really matter that they can't vote in popular elections? The government is already responding to their needs. So if you have a country, for example, like the US, we talk about the US, and if you're Jamaican, I don't know much about Jamaican internal politics. I'm not going to comment on that. But we talk about the US. The US has two parties. What does it really matter? They both, are incredibly corrupt. Yeah, people voted for Trump. That's true. But Trump is quite easily the most corrupt president in the history of America. Trump is completely right now beholden to whatever Israel wants him to
I
do.
don't agree. I don't
Oh,
agree
you
with
don't agree
that.
with that bit. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, fair. Maybe that bit we can debate. But my general point is that the way I measure democracy is how responsive is the government to what the people want. How that looks like, I don't really
Okay, but this is my thing though. Like, yours. You're that is not democracy. Like, even if okay, cool, even if it's just one government and the government is great, if people don't have a choice and they are just stuck underneath something, that is not democracy.
See, I
It's
would,
just not.
I would
Like,
prefer.
if people want to, okay, for example, like you said, Trump, right? If people want to make a bad decision, in your opinion, by voting for Trump, they should have the right to do that. Why should they just be forced underneath one, and then you're going to say that's a democracy because, oh, it's better for them? Like, that's not, because that's taking away their freedom of choice. If you're restricting people like from having freedom in any sense, then that's not that's not democratic to me.
How much choice would you say the average American has in being able to decide who's president of the United States? Would you say it's more or less than average Chinese person has in being able to determine who becomes the CCP chairman?
What's the CC? What's that?
Xi Jinping, the
Sorry,
head
I
of
don't know much about.
the Chinese Communist Party, the head of the, because China, you know, the communist,
Yeah, like
the chairman
they
is the
can't
president, and
they can't choose.
so you see, okay, in China they can't choose, right? Obviously, yeah. How much choice do you think they have in the US? Like, let's say China has zero choice, it's 0% choice. This is like a bar, right? How much choice would you say they have in the US, relatively?
They have. I feel like they have like like they have like, in my opinion, the best example of like democracy, because they're able to campaign, they're able to run, they can rally, they can run ads, and they can both, like, they even have like presidential debates where they can, you know, because I watched I don't know what it's called, but I watched the debate between Kamala and Trump, and I feel like Trump did do better than her,
Yeah, I mean,
because a lot of the
I
questions,
won't disagree with that. Yeah, I think he won those debates. Yeah.
and then I feel like that really helped him to win. So I feel like that's how it should be. Like, people should be able to choose whether or not, like, who they think the best candidate is. Like, what does this person have to offer, and what, like, they should have an option.
So you have to think, like,
So
where Trump is cutting like things that people actually care about and want. Do you think people really want that? And again, I'm not
people
disagreeing.
want what?
Like Trump cut Medicare, for example, which is a very popular like healthcare program, right? And then he's increased the military
Okay,
budget.
yeah. Well, the thing is, I watch a lot of content from like Americans who are like political commentators, and a lot of what I've heard is that they're being taxed. So basically, I'll give an example. So they have like food stamps
Yep.
in America. And so with food stamps, they can like they're given to, I guess, lower income families
Yep.
or homes, and they typically, this is what a lot of people are saying, they typically buy a lot of junk food, and so it makes them a lot more unhealthy, and then they're more likely to need like the medical support. So then it's like they're making these bad decisions, and then it's falling on the taxpayers. Like, the taxpayers are the ones who are actually,
I mean,
if that makes sense. Maybe I'm not.
I don't know. I understand what you mean. Like, I think Trump came in to say like you only buy like fresh food and stuff like that, something like that. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, I would oppose it, but I think we're talking about the high level, more like democracy, that kind of stuff. I mean, this thing.
See, look, Cozy is saying, should they not have freedom to buy those foods? Okay, of course they have freedom to buy those food, but that is costing people, like, it's not, they're not working and buying that for themselves. Like, they're living off people's taxes. That's my point.
So you
So
think
that's a different that's actually a different.
so you think there should be restrictions on their freedom if they're using government money, basically? Is that what you're saying?
Because the thing is, though, they, like, this is costing the taxpayer. This actually costing people who are working. Like, these people, a lot of them, they don't want to work. Like everyone who are on these benefits are not disabled. Like, they're just like single mothers with a bunch of kids. Like, if we're being realistic. And I feel like
I mean, is that
this is
true?
what's like socialism. This is what it does. It just kind of like, no, but it's true. Like socialism, all it does is it caters to people who just make bad life decisions. Like even in the UK, like a lot of people are just on like universal credit and stuff like that.
A lot of
No, I'm
people are
not trying
just
to
on.
be rude.
A lot of
Like
people are
no,
just on universal credit. Even that's the case.
yeah, no, I know. I'm not talking about everyone on universal credit. I'm just talking about most people who I know who are on universal credit. Right? They're on it because they just don't want to work. Like if I'm being honest, like they want free housing, they don't want to work and pay their full rent, so they'll intentionally, like I know people who intentionally, they'll have a part-time job where they have to work lower hours so that they don't have to pay their full rent and so they can be put on social housing.
Shay, I'll be honest. Obviously, I don't know you very well, but
Okay.
what I'd say is that
Yeah.
I think it's worth you defining what your general political positions, like views are. I'll give you an example, right? What I mean by that is like my general way of viewing the world politically is that I just want people to have a good time. I know it sounds very like, la di da or whatever, but that's how I generally see the world. So if I see people not having a good time, I'm going to oppose that. For example, as I talk about foreign policy and talk about Gaza and Lebanon and Iran and all these kind of things, you seem to just kind of go from one position to another. Like first you really want democracy, then you like everyone should have a choice to choose. Then you give an example of where people have a choice to choose, but because it's affecting other people, then you don't want them to choose. Because you're like, actually no, you should only choose one thing because you're spending the taxpayer money. Now you're talking about everyone being on universal credit. It kind of seems like you just kind of downloaded all the different content you've watched and you just kind of just like saying all the things you've seen that's kind of that's like emotionally offended you or affected you. It doesn't seem like you have a very strict,
No,
this is
it
what
has.
I believe in, this is kind of generally what I like or what I want. It's like an amalgamation of like
To be honest, the
different
reason
things.
why it sounds like that is because I'm kind of new to politics.
Okay.
So when I like look at like different policies and stuff, I'm more aligned with the right wing
Okay,
party. So that's why I know that
maybe we should do it this way. Give me like five policies that like, if you were prime minister or someone like that, you would want to implement. Like you have full power, you can do whatever you want. Give me five policies that you think would you would enjoy. And guys, stop being rude to her. She's new to
so
politics, guys. Come on. She's learning. We're all learning. Anyway, I'm listening. I like your energy though, by the way. I like your passion. It's good. I think it's fun to talk about these things. But yeah, give me five policies.
okay, hold on. So I would want to secure the border because I feel like the country's security is important. Um and lower taxes.
Lower taxes in
And
terms of
for me, a lot of people,
like income tax lower.
like for example, yeah, I feel like so the I don't know what the lowest tax threshold is. I think it's like 12,000,
You mean the person
like
around
12,500.
like people don't pay tax under 12
So
thousand.
yeah, so I feel like that should be like higher. I don't think it should be that low. And
I'll agree with that.
yeah, so that's probably what I would, and also like for me, a lot of like the women's rights, like for example, with a lot of like the trans like um controversy, I guess. But like, trans women can be in like women's toilets and stuff like that. Yeah, I would like implement like stricter rules when it comes to things like that.
So
Where maybe like they
you want
can,
people to use their like the sex they were born with, their biological sex, like the toilets and stuff.
well, if they don't feel comfortable, because if they don't feel comfortable going into the male toilet, then I feel like they should have their own space where like that, like a trans option, or maybe a
I
disabled
guess you should just have
option,
like some
like
like a non-gendered space, right? Which is what people already have in some places now. Like, it's not man, woman.
yeah, like a gen, like
Okay, but see,
because you know the disabled toilets.
yeah, yeah, everyone can use that. Okay, fair enough. Obviously, but off the back of that, though, I would ask you: do you genuinely care about that issue, or do you just kind of is that just because like people are talking about it now and it's really hot? Like, does that really bother you?
Yeah, I actually genuinely care about that because there's little girls that go into those toilets. And a lot of like the thing is to qualify as a trans woman, you don't actually have to be completely like you can be you don't have to transition, you can just identify as that. And there's also a lot of trans women who are still attracted to biological women.
Okay,
So that is, I just feel like,
fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so that's three policies.
yeah,
You,
I just
you
feel
you
like for the
mentioned
safety.
securing the border, and you mentioned increasing the personal allowance,
Yeah.
and you mentioned
Yeah, for me, like for me, especially when I voted on May 7th, like for me, I feel like the economy and the safety of the country was like the biggest issues for me, to be honest. Like the like I do care about the whole trans thing as well, but like for me, that's not as important as the other two things. Like everything else that everyone's talking about, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really care like that about a lot of the other stuff. But yeah, like I care
so,
more about like
so
the economy.
you voted for reform, I'm
And
guessing,
yeah, I voted for reform.
and you think reform plans to
I voted for reform and conservative.
okay? Do you think you think reform plan to increase the personal allowance threshold?
Well, Nigel did say that initially, but then he changed. Like he kind of backtracked on that.
Well done for knowing that.
And then
Well done for knowing that. Because I was just about to tell you that. I was like, are you aware that he backtracked? But I think you. So if he backtracked, do you still think he's gonna do it, or how do you see that playing out?
yeah, because they yeah, because do you know what? When it comes to like, I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to Nigel, I don't completely
Trust him.
trust him, and this is why, like, me voting for him, it was like a bit like I wasn't sure
Mhm.
because there was to the point where I wasn't gonna vote. But I feel like out of everyone else, for me, he's just aligns more with the things that I actually care about. Because like I feel like when it comes to conservatives as well, they've had enough like they've had enough chances to kind of prove themselves and they've failed a lot of times. So and yeah, and then with Kemi, she doesn't seem like she's all the way there. I feel like she's just saying what she feels like she needs to say. So
You don't think Nigel's doing the same thing?
but I feel like I guess you could say that, but I don't actually feel like he's doing the same thing because he just why are you making that face?
Because obviously
No, he
you
just
made the point
he
earlier
I
when
just
you literally said like he said he was going to do this, then he backtracked. Then you said he just said, then you said Kemi's just saying what she needs to say, which sounds a bit like what what you described Nigel as doing. So
no, but the thing is about okay, let me tell you what I actually feel like about Nigel. I feel like he says a lot of the things that he means at first, but I feel like he gets a lot of pushback from his base, and then that can kind of like make him kind of sway in different ways.
so that means he's
But
not
I
even saying
feel
what he
like
thinks, he's just saying what
at
people
his core,
yeah.
yeah, but I can say the same thing about Greens. Like they said they was for open borders and then they backtracked on that. So
Well, I mean,
because of backlash. So it's like,
I think that's a good lesson then, right? Like a lot of these politicians kind of say what they need to get elected, which is why I think it's a good, my general position is that I don't consider myself as being affiliated to any political party. I wait for the manifesto to come out, see what they say, see how much they seem sincere in it. Then I decide who I'm going to vote for. Like, it's obviously never going to be the Reform or the Conservative or Labour, but if there's a local party that I think is doing, is saying the right things and, seems like they mean it, I might vote for them. It's a good idea to not throw your lot in with any political party because ultimately it's a job to these people. And like, just like any job, part of what it takes to get elected in politics is to lie. So yes, you're gonna lie and say, I'm gonna do this because it's popular to say. And I'm sure the Greens are probably doing that on some level as well. Like how much do they care about the issues they talk about? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I'm not gonna just not believe them and be like, oh, I'm a Green supporter now because they haven't shown me any evidence that they're going to actually do that. When they get close to power and I see what they're saying, then I'll be like, okay, I'm going to take it a bit more seriously. So I think as someone, you mentioned you're new to politics and you should like sharpen your political kind of, knowledge and, skills or whatever. Generally speaking, you want to view what politicians say with a good deal of skepticism because it's a job for them, right? Like they're in it to try and get to political office and to try and like right now. I'm sure you've heard about Nigel accepting like millions in gifts from like random businessmen that we don't really know. That's his primary objective. He wants to be rich and make money, just like anyone else. So I would take, what he's saying with a pinch of salt because ultimately for him it's just a job, right?
Yeah, that's a fair point. But someone said reform wants you out of their country. This is the type of stuff that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I would say a lot of people that obviously reform right now is very, very old, if you want to say that on immigration. I think a lot of that is definitely something that they feel like it's a cultural war type stuff. Yeah. Part of it hasn't been helped by the fact that we did have this this small boat stuff and a lot of migrants are crossing the China and stuff like that. But to me, I think it's more of a social issue. Like the reality is,
But
a lot of countries
how is that? Like, have you seen a lot of their candidates that,
that work.
like, a lot of their councillors,
Have I seen, what do you mean have I seen them? Sorry.
like, they are not just white British people.
Oh, no, I'm not saying like reform is. No, I wasn't agreeing
Like,
with that.
even a
I
lot.
was saying like my general position was like reform is using immigration stuff as a culture social war issue to win popularity. I'm not saying like they're all racist and stuff like that. I'm sure there's a lot of people in there that genuinely believe in that stuff, and there are people of different colors who also agree with that kind of rhetoric. So I wasn't saying that all of reform is like just racist people that want to get people out of the country, but I guess some of them are maybe very true.
What about Nigel reform removing the diversity card for employment? Are
What
you
about
talking about the maternity leave thing?
diversity card employment?
They're talking about the maternity leave. I think the 2010 like diversity, they're gonna remove it and replace it with
The
something else.
Equality Act, you mean?
Which the maternity leave.org, huh?
Sorry, no, I cut you off. What did you say?
Yeah, like they're basically saying he removed an equality act that benefits like, um women in the workplace who get maternity leave and stuff, but he wants to replace it with a new act, which the maternity leave.org, like the national organization for maternity leave, they actually agree with that. They actually agree with it, and they feel like the current one doesn't actually help women. So
See this
when you
kind
guys bring that up and you don't actually research it,
these kind of things are to me where I believe people have to be a bit more skeptical. The idea that reform actually genuinely trying to scrap the Equality Act. I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it. Like, it's one of those things that, again, it's a bit like when Trump said, what did Trump say? Trump said a bunch of stuff, but when these guys are running, oh, on day one, I'm going to immediately scrap the Department of Education. In reality, not really, are you? The Equality Act is something that, they might try to, like, what these people do sometimes is that they'll package it into like another bill, which basically has 95% of all the same rules, but then they might remove one or two, maybe add one or two, and they'll now pretend as though we scrap the Equalities Act. They're not really going to scrap the Equalities Act. Like, they're not. I don't think they will. Because it's just
exactly. And
a lot of the people.
there's more than one. That is the 2010. He's talking specifically about the 2010.
Yeah, the Equalities Act 2010. Yes.
I've got,
So it's exactly. So, like, this one, is basically, Equality Act just, you can see, like, even the Equality Act itself, it just replaced a bunch of different laws on before and just put it into one. So it wasn't even like if someone said, "Oh, the Equality Act removed a bunch of laws," they just added it into the Equality Act, which is kind of what the Reform are probably going to do. They're going to make their own thing. They're going to have 95% of what the Equality Act have. Then they're going to be like, "Oh, we scrap the Equality Act." This is why you have to take what these people say with a pinch of salt. You can't really take them seriously. So I think a lot of these responses are just going to be stuff that's going to be like they're not actually going to remove protections for pregnant women. Like they're not going to do that. But it's just like they wanted to kind of make some kind of DEI argument. I want everyone to be talking about social issues, right? Because my general read on parties like reform is like where they have the most get most political kind of power is when they're talking about social stuff, immigration, DEI, gender, trans this and trans that. So they always want to make the conversation about that. And this was, I'm sure, just another way to kind of keep the conversation going on equality, on like, DEI stuff. Because I'm sure a bunch of cameras went there. Oh, what do you mean you're going to scrap equality? That then you see articles like this. Then a lot of it is just for their popularity. Because if you think about how someone like Trump, I don't know how old you are if you remember when Trump first ran in 2016, but the way Trump was able to win is basically by being in front of the cameras all the time. So now Reform is the most popular party in the UK, in large part because they just have so much controversy that people are talking about them all the time. And when people are talking about you all the time, you become genuine entertainment, which is why they appear on Question Time, even though they have about the same amount of MPs as the Lib Dems have. They're always on Question Time. People are always talking about
Yeah,
them.
but people are voting for them though.
No, no, people are also voting for
It's
them.
not just
No, 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 no,
entertainment.
no, no, you're right. But I'm saying like a large part of how you achieve that, like a large part of their growth can be attributed to just, how much of a popular, like
Can I
entertainment.
ask you a question?
You go on.
Because security and like safety is really important to me. Do you feel like the UK, like in general, especially the recent parties that have been in power, do you feel like they have been soft on crime?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, again, I guess if you say soft on
You
crime,
don't think so?
do you mean like? Because I guess the way I think about crime is that you can be soft or hard, but what really matters is having policies that actually genuinely reduce crime. And I'm sure we've seen like, conversations about how London has as low murders as
What
UK.
is Cozy's problem? What is Cozy?
Just ignore it. Just listen to what I'm saying. So I'm saying like
Okay, go on.
I think we've seen you're so easily rage baited. It's really funny. You're a typical online person. Just getting rage baited by every corner.
I don't know. I
People
need
seem
to
to.
stop. Like, yeah, I actually, yeah, it's easy to like get under my skin. I need to stop.
But anyway, what back to what we were talking about. To me, soft or hard on crime is about results. If you're, if like I think London, there was a thing that said the other day, like London has like the lowest murder rates or something like that I've had since like the 1800s or something. Is that good? I think it's a good. I look at our murder rate compared to all these other countries. Is that a good result? So what does it matter that we're not
Okay,
sending
but
people to prison to
specifically,
do
what
stuff? It doesn't really matter because we're achieving the results we want to achieve. That's what really matters. But anyway, go on.
do you feel? Do you think so? Like with the, I can't say the word, but like you know what you cut things with
Oh,
that type
that.
of
Oh,
crime.
I mean, but again, I think even that is low. Like there is a lot more hype about it, but even those are low. I think
No, it's not. Because it's even. No, I don't think it's low.
what do you mean don't
I
think?
really
Let, let, let,
don't.
let's see, let's see what the stats say.
I feel like even if we're talking about like pow pow type of crime, like even that is increasing, which is not even like how do you even get access to these things in the UK?
Yeah, look, all the things suggest that it says recent data shows that monthly knife crime are trending downward. I think everything's going down. Everything's going down. Let me see. Let me just check to make sure. Perception is not reality. Let's have a look. Okay, actually, maybe it's not down. Actually, it looks like it's about the same. Maybe it's a bit higher. It went down for a bit, then it went back up. So about like 2010 levels. Um. Okay, so maybe it's not as low as I expected, as I thought it was. Let's have a look. Okay, so it's increased a little bit over the past few years. All right, fair enough. But I mean, okay, that's not good. But I think murder's down. To the lowest in like 2 decades or something like that. So it's a mixed bag, but it's not like a kind of epidemic that anyone's talking about. I think a lot of that again.
Okay, so what about stop and search? What about stop it? Like, what are your views on that? because that gets a lot of pushback
I love how you just go
from.
from like different topic. You have like a topic list in your head. You're like,
Okay,
this one,
okay,
this
okay.
one.
No, because
I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. It's fun. It's fun. I'm not even. I'm usually just teasing you.
okay, we can stay on the other topic then.
No,
We
no,
can
no, no,
stay
no.
on
No,
the
it's
other
fine. It's fine.
topic
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, what's your position when you ask me that question about soft on gram? Is your position that we need to be tougher?
because
Is that what you're saying?
yeah, because I feel like it all like you're saying that I'm jumping from one thing to another, but all of it is like it all relates.
No, I only said that
Like if we're
because
talking about like
when I found these statistics, you didn't even really comment on it. Like you were just like, okay, what about supposed to like that's
no, because
it's
no,
funny to me.
you said
It's
that they
funny.
weren't that. No, I didn't. No, because I didn't really need to comment because you said they weren't that. You said they weren't that high, but then you actually backtracked and said actually they're not as low as I thought they were.
Okay,
So I didn't really
so
feel like I
no,
needed
no,
to
fair
say
enough, fair
anything.
enough. So it seems like the murders are way down, or they're down anyway. I don't say way down, they're down. But the knife stuff is more or less about the same as it was 10 years ago. Fair enough. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Okay. Anyway, what's your position?
Yeah, but the reason why it can't go down, like you said, is around the same, is because stop and search like there's such like pushback, like they're saying this racial profiling and like this is a.
So
I just feel like when
you
it
don't really
comes to these
mind stop
types
and
of
search.
stuff, yeah, I don't because okay, cool. If we're talking about the gangs, like let's talk about London specifically, like gang culture in London. It's mostly a certain demographic. Like when people say that, it's like, oh, you're being racist or whatever. But how is that racist? Like the statistics actually prove that it's a fact. So I don't understand how stating a fact is now
I mean, I,
racist.
I will concede that I see your point. You know, it does make sense to go where the numbers are, and if it seems like certain demographics are overrepresented in certain statistics or whatever, then I guess they're going to be disproportionately targeted and affected by these things. So I think that one is more of a delicate one because you can have stop and search. But obviously, police can always just stop you if they have probable cause that you're going to do a crime or do this or do that or whatever. Like so that is a bit of a fine line, which I don't necessarily oppose it. I think I'm trying to think about like all the times I've lived in London like all my UK life. I wasn't born here. Um, but yeah, the people that get stopped and searched, sometimes, of course, random people just get caught in the middle of it. But sometimes, by and large, maybe they might be suspicious. And I'll be honest, personally, if the police were to stop me because they were like, "Oh, we have some kind of feeling that like we think you might be carrying a weapon or something like that," again, unless they do it in like a very humiliating way, it wouldn't offend me because ultimately I'll just be like, they're just doing their jobs. It's a bit like if the police stopped your car because they were like, oh, this car might have been committing or being like involved in a crime, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I guess you're doing your job. If you find out that they're pussy, clearly I'm not doing any crime, you need to let me go and I'm fine. That wouldn't offend me. But I guess there are also some. You seem like you're on the right wing, so the right wing talk a lot about like civil rights and stuff, right? And just stopping people, like I won't say without cause, but if you're doing it incessantly, that can obviously trample on your, I think in America they call it the Fourth Amendment rights. I don't know what we call it in the UK, but like your right to just kind of go about your business um, and do what you want to do. So like, don't you kind of acknowledge the kind of civil rights implications there of like just kind of stopping people incessantly?
Yeah.
That was a question. But
But my
how,
my whole
how do you see that? Like, do you acknowledge that there's a kind of civil rights potential problem with that, or you don't really care?
yeah, I can agree with that because I can get where it's like it can probably get like out of hand where you can just be like, oh, because that person, like for example, you can kind of tell by how people are dressed. Like for example, if someone has like a t-shirt and like shorts on, you to me personally, I wouldn't obviously I'm not trained in this department, but I wouldn't really see them as that much of like a threat compared to someone who's like ballied up or they have a hoodie or they have gloves on.
Yeah.
Like, then I'll be like, oh, okay, that's a bit suspicious, especially if it's like this current season and they're like they got hoodies on and baddies and they got like layers on. It's kind of like, okay, why are you layered up? Why don't you just have t-shirts and shorts on? Like, why are you dressed like that? I feel like that would make the person suspicious, but I feel like there are times where in case there's certain cases where both those types of people would get stopped,
Yeah.
where only one
Mhm.
would be deemed as suspicious, if that makes sense.
No, no, no. Agreed, agreed. Like it's a
So
delicate issue. It's definitely not easy. Like, that's one thing I will concede. Like if you're gonna do that kind of job, given that these crimes are like on the rise and stuff, think about practically how to solve it. That has to involve some level of proactivity, like to get the knives off the streets or try and catch people before they do certain things. And in as much as you want to be like intelligence led and stuff like that, sometimes you kind of just have to like profile people a little bit, like you said. If it's like 30 degrees outside and you're wearing a big ass hoodie and you have a like, even if you like, I think some of it is also common sense. Like if I went into a store and it's like 11 p.m. and it's a small shop and it's me and a friend and we're both wearing hoodies and blah blah, you know, I don't know, the shopkeeper who's like this, innocent looking lady or whatever, she might just feel a bit uncomfortable just because it is nighttime and people do commit crimes in these places. So like, is it unreasonable for me to just take my hoodie off and just, I don't know, not do that? It's not unreasonable. I don't think it's
yeah,
unreasonable because like she's a woman and she might just feel a bit, vulnerable. That's just be a human being.
yeah, intimidated.
Yeah, like just be a human being and just recognize that like that does happen. And also, like you said, there are people that we walk around and when we see them, we're like, okay, low key, I'm not sure what this person's like, but let me just get away from him, just to be sure. So like, I think
Just cross the road.
exactly. I guess technically we are also profiling those people, but yeah, I'm gonna profile them because I'd rather not find out what's gonna happen. So like, it's a delicate issue, and I do think probably where I'll concede with you is like a lot of people on the left instinctively talk a lot about civil rights and stuff, but let's be honest, if you're going around and you see like 10 people in 30-degree weather all wearing hoodies and a balaclava, I'd rather not be in that area. Okay. I'd rather not be there. So if the police are basically making the same level of profiling and assumptions that you make, and they want to find out exactly what these people are up to, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. Like again, if you're not up to anything, hopefully the conversation is really trained enough to like make it a brief conversation and just kind of have you on your way. That wouldn't offend me that police just wanted to find out what I'm doing. They're just doing their jobs. If they don't do it like in a crazy way and like push me up against the wall and like smack me and throw my phone on the ground and stuff like that, fair enough. But anyway, I think you and I maybe have some.
Yeah, and I feel like these. Sorry, would you say?
Honestly, I think you and I may have some common ground on that.
Yeah, because like for me, it's just the hypocrisy, like with a lot of stuff, like BLM type of things, like what certain people support.
Wait, how does BLM come into this?
Like in the pro. No, like in the pro, because like for me, because I talk about like gang culture, which is mostly like it mostly like affects like in London, it mostly affects the Black community. Which BLM is supposed to be like a pro-Black organization, but they they rarely address. Well, I haven't really seen them address much of the crime that like Black people do against other Black people. So it's like Black lives only matter like when there's like a racial agenda being pushed, is what it seems like. And so it just comes off a bit hypocritical,
Do we have much of a BLM
in
thing
my opinion.
in the UK? Honestly, I don't really know much about BLM in the UK. I know it's a massive American thing, but I don't
I
know.
feel like,
I'll have to know.
yeah, it's American, but I mean, there was BLM protests here as well, like during a lot of like George Floyd and like a lot of
Oh, right.
other things that have happened politically. Like people were protesting, and like even I think a few years ago they had like a whole blackout on Instagram where everyone was like posting Black pictures. I
Oh
didn't
my
post
God.
any,
When I
but
say sorry,
yeah,
sorry to cut you off, Shay, but I'm making a game that's meant to be about like all the major events that happened in the year. The 2020, the COVID edition of this game is gonna be so good. It just reminded me when you just mentioned the blackout stuff on Instagram. Oh, I can't wait to start making the COVID edition. It's gonna be so good. But anyway, go on. Oh man.
yeah, like things like that. And I feel like it does affect Europe
Hmm.
because yeah.
So
Because at the end of the day,
is
like,
that a question in there for me? Is that a statement? I'm not sure what your position is.
yeah, so yeah, this is okay. So when it comes to like a lot of like left leaning, should I say propaganda? Like,
Propaganda.
it just seems to be trying to like, it seems to be like stirring up like racial divide and like it's it's us versus them and like even though I feel like there's like an echo.
Is that mine? I hope not.
No, I can hear myself, but yeah, like I just feel like they really like benefit. Like a lot of people will say that the right is doing that now, like with the migrants and stuff. But I feel like the left they do it more, and I feel like if the right are participating in it, it's just more so like like retaliation more than
It's a very interesting
anything
point. It's a
else.
very interesting point you mentioned because I've been doing videos in which I say a lot of the anti-DEI stuff we're seeing is a reaction to just how strong this kind of I don't want to call it woke because people have used that word a bit ridiculous. Echoing. Oh no. Um, 1 second. Let me try and figure out why my echo. Oh,
Yeah.
it's because my Logitech is on. Let me turn that off. Okay, that should be fine now. I think that should be fine now. Um, I think a lot of the kind of reaction to the woke to like the anti-woke stuff was a reaction to just how strong people were pushing. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think my Logitech, my camera just turned its audio on. The CIA are listening to me. Mossad, they're on to me. That was so random because I literally turned it off before I started the live stream. That was kind of crazy. But anyway, as I was saying, I think a lot of it is a reaction to how strong we had that push for, like BLM was part of it, all that kind of stuff, where they made racial identity or any type of identity the centerpiece of everything, which it's always a doomed thing to do because eventually people are going to be turned off by it. And I make that point when I talk about Israel, for example. I know it's tangential to what we're talking about, but right now there's a massive push to make everyone like want to be pro-Israel. And I'm predicting now what's going to happen is eventually loads of people are going to be anti-Israel because once you make it such a wedge issue, you're forcing people to pick a side, and that's kind of what happened. I do agree with you on some level with the whole kind of identity, but like every time you push identity, eventually it's gonna get ridiculous. I've
Mm.
always kind of opposed identity politics from a point of like it's a bit nonsensical, and even from a racial angle, you mentioned BLM and stuff like that. You are right in the sense of like I don't know if you remember back in the day, even like around that 2018, 2019, like 2021 times, there'll be a video of like two people fighting. It could be like a white person and a black person, and just because the white person is beating up the white person, there will be some kind of racialized caption. Oh, this white person beat up this black person in Bromley, blah blah. They're always trying to make it about race, whereas it could just be two school children having a fight. Like in school, no one give a fuck about your race. If it's a fight, it's a fight. But
Yeah.
they're always trying to put some kind of racialized thing about it, and everything just became so racialized. But then obviously you don't want a situation like that because if it was a black person beating up the white person, and then some right wing person put captions saying, "Oh, these black people are coming into our country beating up our kids." That's not what's happening. It's just two children having a fight. So again, if you racialize everything, it's only a matter of time before people just flip it around the other way, and now you have what we have now, which is like basically open racism. Like you have quite a few people. Obviously, Trump is a good example, but even in our local politics, who are literally openly racist, and no one really cares anymore because they feel like all the woke people had their day, and now we're just reacting to them. So again,
When you say like openly racist, like can you give an example?
you don't think you haven't seen like open racism in our politics?
No, yeah, no. I wanna know exactly what you're referring to when you say that.
Okay, I mean, for example, did you see when the that reform guy said we should melt the Nigerians and you used to have to filter pot? That was kind of funny, but it was also really extremely offensive. Did you see that tweet?
Oh wait, yeah, I think I wait that yeah, I think I saw that actually.
Yeah, I mean that's just one example, right? But like, there's like
Yeah.
all these right wing influencers, like I think Sophie Cochran or
I'm
something.
trying to remember that tweet.
Like,
Yeah, I think I saw it on X.
yeah, exactly. Like there is a lot of open racism in our politics nowadays, like 100%.
Yeah, yeah, I did see that on X, but yeah, to be honest, I didn't even know who that guy was.
He was a reform count. Like, he ran for, I think they ran for councillor for.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he actually won. Yeah, like
Yeah, I did see that. But
100% there is open racism in our politics now, like especially against like Asian people, against Asian people that are also Muslim. Like some of it is kind of pushed by like the Israel lobby and them wanting to kind of do like a us versus them. So like some
yeah,
of it.
I wanted to say that. Don't you think that a lot of people already are anti-Israel? Because you said like in the future, eventually people are going to reject Israel. I feel like they already have.
I mean, there is a large contingent of people, but I guess my point is that it's going to get worse because even now, for example, I'm starting to see more open anti-Semitism. Like people are just just hating people just because they're Jewish. Like that I'm seeing that more and more, and it's crazy because obviously a lot of people that dislike what Israel is doing, naturally they're like, you know what, F those people. And so if you're now someone that's now making content that's actually just like disliking Jewish people, some people are still kind of like supporting you just because they're like, just because you hate Israel so much, and I also hate Israel, we're kind of on the same side. Whereas before, I'll be honest, I wasn't really seeing that like that much. Even some of these like what's the name of this guy? You have to be like Sneeko, people like Nick Fuentes, like these people genuinely just hate Jewish people. And now, um, what do you call it? And now Nick Fuentes is someone that's been interviewed by Fox News and a bunch of other different people. Tucker Carlson have interviewed him, and he's someone that genuinely just hates Jewish people. And before you wouldn't have seen that.
I don't align. Sorry, Kaya or whatever your name is. I don't know who you're talking to. I feel like you're talking to me, but I don't align with left wing politics. Like, I don't align with the policies. So
So
you're saying something about, like, she's basically trying to say, oh, you learn new information and your thing doesn't change. But like, I've seen people say racist things about white people. Like, I see black people say racist and then they'll be like, oh, well, it's okay. Like, they'll justify it. So at the end of the day,
so what is your position on this? I'm confused. Is your position that we don't have racism
like
in our policies?
my like, huh?
So you go on. I didn't want to cut you off.
Like for me, I don't like for me, I'm against any type of racism, period. Like I don't feel like people should say things about people who are white or should like make stereotypes towards white people just because they're white and they have some sort of resentment. And I don't feel like people should do it to black people. I don't think people should do it to Asian people. I just feel like people, like, we shouldn't be so focused on race. Like if you don't personally like a person because that person is personally racist, that doesn't mean that you should just paint everyone who is that person's race, who said something racist, as racist as well. Like I know black people who say a lot of racist things um about like, for example, Asian people. Like I like before I came in on this live, I saw this like Indian girl and she made a post basically saying that she was Jamaican. It's like this trend that's going on Jamaican TikTok. And like people were in the comments saying Caribbean and being rude and saying, yeah, right, you're not Jamaican. Of like basically saying that she's lying. Like Jamaica doesn't have an Indian population. But yeah, and there's people who are racist, and I'm not gonna now paint every black person as racist because I'm black and I'm not racist. So at the end of the day, like I don't really understand races in
So
party you support with zero reaction. Like,
I mean, do you
so what
personally
party do
not?
you support?
Again, this is not my position, but I guess is your position that I guess those reform people that have been exposed for saying racist stuff, they represent a minority in the party, and so you don't overall think they represent a party more generally. So therefore, you obviously disagree with what they say, but it doesn't change the fact that
I found out about that guy. Yeah, I would basically say that. But I found out about that guy that you guys said about the Nigerian stuff. I found out about him after I already voted.
I mean again,
So
I wouldn't
there's
personally.
that, because I wasn't really, I was focusing on the policies that align with me. Like I wasn't focusing on, you know, all of that. I don't know how people got to find out that information, but I was just comparing policies. Like, okay, do I agree with this or do I agree with this? Like I more agree with reform on a lot of things. So
Yeah, I mean again, I personally, okay, your politics and how you feel is how you
I
feel.
feel like he's just not being biased. Like you're saying he's creating like arguing points for me. Like
I mean,
I don't
see,
understand.
I have
Maybe you should bring that guy up because he's got a lot of things to say. And the Kaya girl, maybe you should bring them up because I don't really understand.
Kia, do you want to come up? Kosi, do you guys want to come up? So someone said something earlier, which I was gonna. Someone said about, Becky said about Sneeko and Nick Fuentes. Nah, Becky, you look like, no, sorry, I'll call you Becky. Beck. I don't know if your name is actually Becky, but trust me, those people actually hate Jewish people. Like, look into. In fact, as you mentioned, as you tweeted that, I just looked up the thing again. Like, it's like Sneeko. I've seen clips. Nick Fuentes, a million percent. Like, I don't know if he's doing it as like a LARPing thing, just because it's, again, you have this crazy right wing culture where people just be saying whatever they want. I don't know if he genuinely believes it or whatever, but I can only go by what he says. But if you go by what he says, he definitely hates like Jewish people. It's not just about, obviously he weaves in part of his critique of them is also the fact that, like, yes, disproportionately a lot of people that identify as Jewish or are Jewish enjoy a lot of power in American society and culture, and maybe have too much influence in their politics. Again, I wouldn't place that on their Jewish identity. I'd say it's more because of their political ideology, which is Zionism. Like, that's a distinction to be made. Fair enough if you don't want to make that distinction, but it's not about stuff that are genuinely just like against Jewish people.
Like, a lot of people are just hypocrites. Like, I don't agree with a lot of the hate from either side, but the way people were reacting to Charlie Kirk when he passed away, like even a lot of politicians, like people, like you guys were not acting. Like, even the way you guys were treating Erica, like you guys were not acting like these morally elite individuals, like how you're trying to act in these comments. So I just
She,
don't
can I,
really understand.
can I ask how old you are, by the way? I'm just out of curiosity. Very curious.
No, I'm 28. How old are you?
I'm 28 as well. I'm 28.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Charlie Kirk. I did videos about Charlie Kirk in which I said, like, Charlie. I also don't agree. Kosi, what's your problem? What's wrong with being 28, bro? What the hell? Um, in which I don't. Yeah, I also don't think we should be celebrating anyone like lying and stuff. Brandon said it's devil's ironic given his stance on weapons and how much he believed in, like, open carrying and stuff like that. I don't know, would that have saved him? I imagine if America had just less guns, that a lot less people would have lost their lives. But yeah, overall, I don't agree with him.
Are you really saying that with the amount of shootings that's been happening in London?
Do you think we have anywhere close?
Like, that's not really going to stop anything.
We have anywhere close to the level of gun violence we have in America? Do you think that's even like we're not even in the same stratosphere as them?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not going to stop it. Like, has um it stopped anything in the UK? Like, no, it hasn't.
So you prefer us to have like the kind of gun policies they have in America? Is that what you're saying? Surely not.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like,
Okay, so we have it.
that's not going to really prevent.
Oh, your nemesis is come up now.
Yeah, he opposed it. Like, okay, so who did you vote for? Because you're really vocal in the comments.
Hey AJ,
How is
sorry,
that
by the way.
poo on him?
Hi both of you, by the way, just so you know. Shay, I don't
Hi.
actually have a problem with you. I've just been sitting here. It's a Sunday. I love coming onto AJ's live and just listening to people talk and disagreeing or agreeing. I find, to be honest, right, the only problem I have with a lot of what you're saying is that it feels very. I had friends like this, right? Two white boys, and they would argue these points with me, or they'd ask me these questions, right? Let's say it'll be, oh, Donald Trump is racist. They'll say, prove it. I would just have to go and Google it. It's not hard to find a lot of these points, right? And if I'm looking at a party who is looking to produce the least amount of suffering, which is usually what I try and vote on, it's not going to be Reform, it's not going to be Conservative, it's not going to be Labour. Just looking off what they choose and what they do.
So who would it be?
At the moment, unfortunately, Green or even what's his name? What's the other guy's name who got completely Jeremy Corbyn's party? But even then, it's a case of am I voting because I want to what's the word? Split the vote. Or am I voting because I truly believe in it? Right? I don't think I could, as a black person. Not that I think that this should be the main focus of the point that you're voting on. But as a black person, I couldn't vote for Reform. I couldn't vote for a man who consistently has shown that he doesn't really want people like me in this country.
Who's that? Nigel Farage.
Nigel Farage. Boris Johnson had a lot of comments when he was in power, for example. Not again. Their policies may be good, all that stuff, but I can't, in good conscience, vote for people who do not want people who look like me in their country. That doesn't make sense.
I don't think that Nigel actually feels that way.
It's not about thinking; it's about what they've shown and what they've proved, right? Like,
Okay, so
it's why
what
a lot of
example do
stuff
you
is not
have?
feeling. Let me go. Do you want me to Google it? Like, AJ can Google
Yeah,
it. Like, we
I
don't. This
feel
is what
like
I
you
mean.
should.
Like, a
I
lot of
feel
these
like
things, we don't
I
have
feel
to.
like,
Let's
but
say
you.
Donald Trump is racist. I don't have to. Really, I don't have to go out of my way to Google it to find out why he's racist. The man wanted 5 dead black kids off just a newspaper article, not knowing whether they were like a lot of the. This is what I mean. But even if I do prove it right, you would then move on to a different point, which you did with AJ a lot of the time. He would say,
I,
"This is the point I've got," and then you'll say, "Okay, what about this?" It's not what about that.
what
It's just that
point
that
did I
point's
do
bad.
that with? Because he already addressed that, and I answered. Like with the knife crime conversation. Like,
Yeah, but what about? What about? It's not what about. It's this problem really matters. Like these things really matter. These things affect people. Let's say reform. I can't vote reform in good conscience knowing that they're going after people who look
you
exactly like
said
me.
that Nigel doesn't want people that look like you
Do you want me to
in
turn on
his
my
country.
laptop? Give me 2 seconds. Let me turn on my laptop.
I mean, to be fair, I would say
Like I don't
I
like
would
doing
say
this because
Shay. I think I don't know if Nigel specifically said this. I know like it was reform or is it restore that talked about like what's it called re-immigration or something like that, which is like people that are here have to leave because we have too many people. Like that is a position.
thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Like that is a
Yeah.
position.
Re-immigration.
Yeah.
And again, Shay, to be honest with you, a lot of your points, I don't on the surface of your point, I don't disagree with them. Dead ass. Like I don't. It's just that the substance of the point that you then go on to argue, I'm not sure if I agree with. So apologies for earlier.
No, it's fine because you don't you don't have to agree with me. I feel like that's, and I actually like that. I support that. Like I was saying to AJ earlier, like that's the whole point of democracy. Like people should have a right to choose
But what if their
whatever they.
choice is inherently bad for the people of the country? Like, even if you do choose, like, let's say we, not that this was your point, let's say we did legalize guns, right? Because gun laws are not doing much for the UK. Is that a benefit to the people or is that a negative to the like general population? It's a negative, you know?
Well, I can see why you could say it's a negative, but for me, it could be a positive because if,
Hey,
like, for example, like we have like gun restrictions and stuff now, but people are still able to be harmed by guns.
yeah.
Like, there's people who can make the argument that, okay, well, then can I legally carry one for my protection? Because,
So I think like a lot of the reason why they've put laws on guns. It's the same with Australia. Australia is probably the more recent example. I think it was in the 1980s or 1990s was their last mass shoot, like their last school mass shooting, right? After they criminalized owning guns and or like for just personal use, they haven't. I don't think they've had a mass shooting since, or maybe there was that most recent one with the.
Yeah, Bondi Beach.
I know that there was something in Australia recently with some people pulling out guns, right?
Yeah, Bondi Beach. Shay, I guess the overall point. I don't know if I should make this about. Okay, I'll address the gun thing first, and I'll talk about the democracy stuff maybe off the back of that, and then I'll let you
yeah,
respond. I think logically, it doesn't seem like if the position is that we should have guns to protect ourselves. Again, we literally have. Okay, if I talk about London, but in the UK generally, we have historic lows of violence, especially gun violence. So the logic that people would say we're at historic lows of these things and we're trending downwards. Oh, let's actually have more guns. That doesn't really seem like it makes any sense. The problem you're trying to protect yourself from, it's not really. It's a bit like someone genuinely trying to say, like, okay, for example, oh, because we have um some car accidents. You know, people are talking, for example, about having like cars that only have speeds that only go up to 80 or 70 kilometers miles per hour. It doesn't seem proportional to the issue you're trying to solve. Like these things are already trending downwards because we're just doing other stuff like speed cameras and all these kind of things. If we already have sane ways to address these issues, why do we need to make it so radical and extreme by just saying let everyone have a gun? Come on, it doesn't seem like it makes sense. The other point you made about democracy
yeah,
is that the way I see it, and you seem quite fixated on people being able to choose in terms of a voting system. But I think the kind of X factor you're also removing is how much your choice is not really real anymore when you have what we have now in terms of mass media and being able to genuinely manipulate people. And again, I keep going back to America, but it's a great example. each political party spends about well over $1 billion every year. Part of that is done in large part to try and manipulate people. So, yes, you think you have a choice, but if people continue to bombard you with a certain level of messaging constantly, so much so that like you can't even think clearly anymore, you kind of have a choice, but not really, because you can't remove that the effect of how much power they have when it comes to media. Like for example, if I didn't do the kind of things I did, and a lot of these things didn't exist. If people just literally watch the BBC, Sky News, okay, this is what the UK. If everyone just watched the BBC, Sky News, what else do we have? I don't know, let's just say those two are the big channels I can think of. Do you think most people would know that Israel has been engaged in apartheid or ethnic cleansing since 1948? Do you think they would know that? They wouldn't. So someone might say it's my genuine opinion that I support Israel because they're fighting against these people that want to eradicate them. If all you watch is the BBC or Sky News, but that's not true. So just because you have that opinion, then you now think, oh, I came to that opinion because I examined the facts. If your facts are just watching the BBC and Sky News, who are literally controlled, more or less, and just say everything the Israeli government want them to say. Even on social media, we see that, like, you're on TikTok. I'm sure you've heard about the Israeli government being able to like banning accounts and removing accounts. In fact, I reported about this a few weeks ago on Facebook. The Israeli government has been caught, not even caught, it's an open thing. They remove Palestinian accounts on Facebook. Like the Israeli government has a direct line to the Facebook leadership, and they remove accounts that belong to Palestinians or maybe ones that are seen to be too pro-Palestinian. If you're consuming that kind of stuff 25/8, and then you now say it's just my genuine opinion that all the Palestinians are terrorists and they just want to eradicate the Israelis who are just, humanitarian, people loving whatever, whatever, whatever. It's a lie. So it's not really a genuine opinion to be taken seriously in the sense of like, oh, it's just my opinion. You can't divorce the manipulation of opinion going on from how you get there. So if someone says they want to vote for Trump, okay, it's a choice. You can make that choice. But if you're voting for Trump because you believe that Trump is going to, you know, have make everyone have free healthcare, when Trump has clearly said he plans to, cut, social programs to make sure that rich people have taxes, which is what his actual policy is. You're being lied to. And so it's not really a genuine choice in that same way. Like there is some kind of almost mind control that you can't divorce from that kind of action. Did you kind of see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like the propaganda element is something I think you haven't really addressed. And I think that is not to be minimized. Like I did a whole talk at Cambridge University.
Propaganda.
Go on, sorry. Go on.
Wow.
What's
You
that?
just said a lot.
I'm sorry, I said a lot. Sorry, I was in a flow state.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Oh, where do I want to start? No, the propaganda stuff really got me because it's like the mainstream media across the world is so pro like left-wing parties, so it's kind of interesting that
What?
I
yeah.
disagree with that
What?
heavily.
What do you mean
Most
by
of the
that?
media is
We
owned
won't
by
go to
right
the
wing.
okay, cool. We'll go to we'll go to that after. We'll talk about the democracy thing that you said, right? So you said that I don't know if this is what you meant, but you was basically trying to say that I don't know what it sounded like you were trying to say to me was just that basically if people don't agree with you, they shouldn't basically have the right to vote
No,
because
what? Oh, come
they're
on.
not
Come on.
they're not
That's not
they're
what I
not
said.
basically making the right decision, which is
No,
your
no, 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 no,
decision.
no.
So therefore, they
That's not what I'm
shouldn't have
saying.
the right to vote.
No, no, that's not what I'm saying. No, I'm not saying you shouldn't have the right to vote. That's ridiculous. My point is,
Because
not
when it comes to Trump, like for example, you mentioned like America. When it comes to Trump, he got the majority vote. Like he got all swing states. He got the popular vote. Like the majority of the country was on Trump's side. Like they wanted to vote for him, and they did. So if they didn't have that option, so the majority of the country was supposed to just be living in misery under the Democrats
I'm not really.
when that's not what they want. Just so that
I'm not really
the
attacking their
minority
choice.
could be.
Okay, okay, Shay, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but let me give you a good example. Let me give you a good example I think you might relate to. You see how a lot of companies spend a lot of money on marketing. See, I don't know if you know about this. Have
Yeah.
have you seen Mad Men, the show Mad Men?
Yeah.
You seen it?
Oh no, the show. No, I haven't seen that. Sorry.
I'd recommend it to you just as a show, not as like a political thing. It's a really fun show to watch. But Mad Men is basically about the advertising industry.
It's called what? Madman.
Mad Men.
Mad Men.
Let me put it on the screen. It's
Oh.
a very good show. That John Hamm is in it. Very good show. It's about like the advertising industry. It's fantastic. Like I'd recommend this show to a lot of people. But this show just goes into like the ways in
Okay.
which people think, advertising is used to sell us stuff, right? So imagine this, right? There are a lot of young people, a lot of children in the UK who enjoy like bad food, McDonald's, sweet stuff, etc., etc., etc. If they were subjected and bombarded with, as they are, a lot of advertising that convinces them of how good that food is, yeah, and you now have people trying
Yeah.
to trying to like what do you call it? Trying to buy that food and eat more of it. Of course, those people had a choice, right? They're choosing to spend that money. Kind of like in the same way, again, I don't know how you feel about climate change, but kind of like in the same way, it's been now revealed that all these fossil fuel companies spent loads of money to try and convince everyone that climate change was a hoax. So you have a lot of people that were like, climate change is fake because these companies spend millions, maybe even billions of dollars lying to people about the effect on the environment of what they're selling. Now, if you now have a bunch of people that because they've been bombarded by that kind of advertising, they're saying climate change is fake. Is that like a choice they genuinely made, or are they just being lied to? Doesn't mean they don't have a like
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what I mean. So in the same way in politics, like of course you have a choice, but I'm no one's saying that you should be removing your choice, but I'm just saying like you have to think about the effect on your choice. If a political party is spending a
Mm.
billion pounds to try and advertise to you, do you think they're doing that try and convince you of how good they are and all the honest things they're about to do? No, they're doing that to manipulate you and lie to you and condition you to believe in stuff that's completely fake. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's what you have to think about what effect on democracy. It's a bit like you mentioned, like with the Chinese, the communists and all that kind of stuff, right? Like, there's a reason why countries that have like one party rule or dictators, there's a reason why they try to control information flow, right? There's a reason why they have state-owned broadcasting. They don't have that because like for fun. It's effective. So if part of the ways in which an undemocratic society controls its people is by controlling the flow of information. If you now look at a democratic society and you see a similar level of information control, that should make you question how democratic that country actually is, right? If you have the
Yeah.
BBC and if for example, right now, the BBC and Sky News, every day they were talking about how much everyone in the country is rich and how Labour is doing such a great job. And they did that every day, every day, every day. And you had people that didn't even know how poor some of the parts of the UK was. And they were voting based on the fact that they've seen on BBC and Sky News that everyone in the country is making 100K and everyone's fine. Would you say that's truly democratic? I wouldn't say so. Because they're social engineering it. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to like, get across to you, like
Yeah.
about the difference. Again, I'm not saying like, you can talk about difference in democracy and stuff like that. But that element of what that does to democracy and your choice, how true and real your choice actually is. I want you to reflect a lot on that because trust me, I think that severely erodes
Yeah.
your choice. Like it's not real anymore if you're being lied to on that
I
scale.
yeah. I get where you're coming from, but then there's like that. There's like a point where that can open the door to like a Hitler type figure to just come in and just control everything.
But don't you see
And that's,
some things with
I feel
Trump
like
right now in
that's
terms of
the
what Trump
biggest
is doing?
threat.
But don't you see like with Trump where like the amount of power he's having right now to like threaten people and like all these news organizations have to kind of say what he wants because if they don't, he can threaten them and attack their stuff. Don't you see that already happening with the US?
Yeah, I do see that, but it seems that like he's arguing that they have defamed him in some way.
They have one.
So, like for example, his lawsuit against the BBC
I mean,
when
there is stuff like that, but
um
there's also stuff like this. Let me show you something. There's also stuff like this. So this is Trump's FCC chair. So FCC is the Federal Communications Commission, and they are involved in like deciding which which companies like are able to broadcast and stuff, right? And this is what this man said to um NBC when when Jimmy Kimmel made a joke about Trump. This is what he said to them. Where is it? Where is it? Where's the quote? Oh, I can't find it now. I want to show you the exact quote because I think the quote itself is quite important. So again, this is what we talked about in terms of my computer's frozen. LOL, they're after me. Everything's frozen. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah, I can.
You can. Okay, my computer's shoot, bro. They don't want me to show you. They They don't. But basically, this guy said to what do you call it, a broadcaster, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. Because he was talking about how Trump wanted Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, and obviously they didn't want to do that. So he was like, "It's either you guys do what we want, or we're gonna basically make it really hard for you guys to continue working." And they took Jimmy Kimmel off the air for like a few days. Then they brought him back on. So again, is that democratic? Trump was voted for, yes. Is that what people voted him for to go and be doing? To be threatening people and be deciding who gets to broadcast and who doesn't get to broadcast because they were being mean or nice to him. Is that what we want?
True, you have a point there. But I feel like, isn't that the left, that cancel culture? Isn't that.
Is Trump on the left now? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
What
to
do
be
you mean?
honest. It's two sides of the same bird, right? Like, she is right, right? Like, we just see the same thing on both sides, but it's about getting rid of the same thing on both sides, not looking at one side and demonizing them, or looking at the
Yeah.
other and demonizing them. That's kind of what I was getting at when we were first typing away, right? Like, I agree with some of what you're saying, but things aren't inherently good or bad, and neither side is so much better than the other, which is the unfortunate thing about the world, to be honest.
Exactly, Shay. And I think one thing you realize the more you learn about this,
Yeah.
which is why I have the position I have now, which is like, I think you asked me earlier about am I not a leftist, is that you don't really want to identify with any of these people because there's a Nigerian saying like they'll disgrace you. That's not really a Nigerian saying, but like this is how these people move. So you trying to say like, oh, actually I'm moving more on the right. Then you have, because you believe in democracy and stuff. Then you have people like Trump threatening broadcasters. He doesn't like.
I actually didn't say that. I said I was more conservative, to be fair,
Fair enough.
when I
I
first
guess,
joined.
I guess that's not really a political. Okay, fair enough. That doesn't identify per se. Um, with like, but I guess that's the point. Like, I think the sane kind of place to arrive at is like, you know what? All these people are in it for themselves. Like at the end of the day, they don't really care about average people or all these kind of things. And in fact, a lot of the things they claim to care about in terms of policies, they don't give a shit about that too. They only care about it to the extent that it will get them elected. Do I genuinely believe like Nigel Farage cares about the fact that immigration is making it hard for the average person to get jobs? I don't buy it. Like he does not care about that. He cares about it to the point that he can help him get elected, and it's a good tool for channeling what might a lot of people perceive as genuine anger. But whether or not we have more immigrants, less immigrants in the country, Nigel Farage couldn't care less. He cares about becoming prime minister, becoming really wealthy. It's a job for him. And so I'm not going to disagree and say sometimes, that's not a genuine concern people have or should have. But I'll just feel like I just feel like a bit of a sucker, basically, if I start believing like Nigel Farage cares about this so much that I start saying I'm a Nigel Farage supporter because I think he just cares about immigration. Like I just,
Yeah, I
you know what I'm
don't
saying? Like,
really,
I
because,
just feel like I don't want to play your game. Like I don't want to be gullible and just fall into the kind of things you're doing. Does that make sense?
yeah,
So that's kind of
because it seems like the support that a lot of like British people are putting in to restore has kind of like pushed Nigel more to the right because he's kind of losing his space.
exactly.
So yeah, there is that.
Yeah, exactly. You
So
know,
there's that aspect that he's just like, I guess, putting on a character for votes.
exactly. And again, I'm pretty sure what will most likely happen is that when they go into office, I think the fact about this country is that they have an aging population, and to be able to afford, a lot of the social programs, which the biggest one of the social programs we have is pensions, by the way, which no one wants to talk about because obviously old people vote, they vote the most and they vote in the largest numbers. So you can't say let's remove the triple lock, for example, which is quite costly and costing people money. So when you talk about entitlement programs, that is easily the biggest one. But no one wants to touch that. So they keep dancing around the edges and talking about universal credit and all this and multiplicity that costs like £500 million, which is like a drop in the bucket. Because the ones that cost the most money, they
Yeah.
go after. So what every party is going to do eventually is they need more immigrants because they need more young people that are willing to work and pay into the pensions so they can pay older people who are not working. That's just a fact of life in most countries that have an aging population like we do. And even reform and all the aggressive, in what do you call it, posturing on immigration. Once they get in there, if they try to implement the policies they try to implement, they just wouldn't be able to have enough money to pay these things, and so they will have to bring in people as well. That's just the reality of most of it. And I worked in a company actually a couple of years ago that was a government owned company, but it wasn't operated by the government. It was like independent operational. And what you find out about the way a lot of countries like the UK work is that, maybe good or bad, our bureaucracy is very strong. And so what that means is like a lot of the things the government announced as policy, I promise you they didn't really have much of a choice. Like it's been decided in the civil service based on like actual numbers and facts that like we have to do this. And so then you have the government needing to like put a spin on it and put some kind of nice political messaging around it, which is why you have all these squabbles. But like the company I worked at that was government owned, they were involved with renewables, and I know people don't think about the Conservative Party as like being a party of like renewables and global warming and blah blah blah. It was David Cameron that made it a law that the UK has to be net zero by 2050. That was a conservative person that did that, and all the people after that, they just keep doing the same thing. Even when we had Claire Coutinho, she was what do you call it, Secretary of State for Energy. They did the same thing. If reform comes, they're going to do the same thing because that policy's been set way before them, and it's going to just continue to be the policy. They might come in and say, "Oh, we're going to do fracking and gas and North Key, blah blah blah." They might do some of that. For the most part, 85% of our energy policy has already been decided by smart people who are in the bureaucracy and know these things. And what you have at the top, the leaders of these, what do you call it? These what do you call the things like the health secretary, all these kind of people? They're just figureheads for a department, and they have to figure out a way to like put nice branding around what's already really been decided by people that are much lower than them. Which again, when you know it on that level, it makes all these debates and stuff kind of funny because it's not really going to change much. That's why the biggest increase in immigration we saw in the past 15, 20 years was under Boris Johnson, who was a conservative. If you remember, before Boris Johnson, you had Theresa May, who was all about go home vans and all that kind of stuff. And you had someone from her own party have the biggest increase we have in migration to the UK in like, I don't know, 20 years or so. So it just shows you how silly this whole debate about right wing direction and democracy is. Boris Johnson has come out and said that they basically told him in the civil service that like, the country is facing some kind of crisis when it comes to funding, and we just need more young people to come and work, which is why they did this whole Boris Way stuff, which is meaning like educated people coming here, come and do a master's, you can stay for 2 years, try and get a job, because they just wanted more high income people to come into the country because they wanted people to make more money and to be able to afford, the kind of entitlement, I hate calling entitlement, social programs that they have. Anyway, I know I was saying a lot there, but hopefully that was making some sense and trying to get my
Yeah, you make some good points. But my whole thing, right? I want to say something. Not that I'm not trying.
But her butts every time, bro.
I'm not trying to be. I'm actually not trying to be an op. I'm
No,
just trying to
go.
like.
I find it funny. It's just funny.
No, I'm not gonna say anything crazy. The only thing I'm gonna say is that, like, for example, Nigel Farage, like, there's a push for like meritocracy. Is that how you say it? Because like you're saying that there's a lot of like immigration is good, right? And I agree to a certain extent, but what about when there's people migrating?
I didn't say immigration is good. I said
Oh,
government felt like they had to do. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I was just telling you why we had loads of immigration, which is because the country's an aging population and they kind of needed to pay for stuff. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm just telling you the policy. But yeah.
oh, okay, yeah. So, there's a lot of people who migrate to the UK and they don't really contribute much to the economy. So they will they'll for whatever reason, because obviously people have different reasons for why they migrate here. They could be a refugee or whatever, but it starts to like strain the economy when the employment rate is so high and people are on like job seekers allowance. And for example, like the them removing the 2-child cap that they had, like Labour removing that. I feel like stuff like that is just like the economy could just crash at any minute. Like there's so much strain, and it's like there's more people that there's like a small amount of people who are actually working, and compared to the amount of people who are unemployed, and the unemployment percentage is rising.
So if we address that on like
more and more.
those specific issues, like on the 2-child benefit cap, is your position that they should have kept it?
Yeah, I do feel like that because I've watched, obviously, like you said about the media and stuff, not saying that, that can't be manipulated. But I've watched reality shows of like, British families, and they just keep having children because they're getting benefits and they're getting like bigger houses because they're having.
Do you really think people like a woman is like, I mean, you're a woman, I'm gonna carry a baby for 9 months because the government is gonna give me some extra change?
Yes, there are a lot of women who do that. They will have children for the benefits. Like it doesn't even have to be.
How many women would you say like, if the UK had if the UK has
more, like a lot of them are not going to admit it, but I feel like more of them, like even if it comes to like just having a child with a guy who has money, like a lot of women do that.
But those people don't have.
Women do that a lot.
Benefits, right? If your husband has money or your boyfriend has money, you can sort yourself out, right? You wouldn't get benefits in that situation.
Okay, I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example. Like, for example, I have an aunt who she doesn't even work. She's a stay-at-home mom, and that's her occupation because that's what's on her passport as her occupation. Stay-at-home mom. Yeah, that's on her. That's actually a legal job. So she's a stay-at-home mom, and from the time that she had one child, she was aspired to have 4 children.
She was inspired, and you said?
She never. Yeah, now she does actually have 4 children, but at the time when she only had one child, she always wanted 4 children, and it was like she didn't work. Her husband's working 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, and to the point where he was also going to college to try and uni, went back to uni to try and like, upskill and get a better profession to earn more. And it's like, in my eyes, just being around her, like, I just feel like she just felt like she lived in a country where she could just get away with that. She could just have as many kids as she wanted, like, because she just knew that if anything happens, she can just fall on the government, which they do rely on the government a lot, like, for a lot of things. Like, they even got a free car, they get, like, housing, like, there's just so much things.
On 2 respects, is that like, let me just ask you this as a general question. Is it like so bad if someone just wanted to have like loads of children? Do you mean that's or do you think you're saying like they should be able to afford it if they want to have loads of children?
Yes, that's my point. You can have as many children as you want, even if you can't afford it. I guess you can still do that, of course. But my whole thing is you can have these aspirations, but it should be your responsibility to look after these. Like if you want to have 10, 15 kids, that is your responsibility to look after these 10, 15 kids.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree on a general sense, but I also do think, like I mentioned earlier, the UK is actually an aging population. So I think a lot of people, like I think that your aunt is British, so she might be maybe she could be a while ago. A lot of people, the best way to solve, can you mute yourself, Kosi? A lot of the ways to solve a lot of the way to solve this issue is for British people to have more children, because ultimately in the long run it is an investment into the country, right? If our population is aging, which means that less people can work. Even a lot of people like yourself, people like yourself and other people that support reform and stuff, they don't want immigrants to come in, right? Because they just believe it should be like British people or whatever. The answer to that is just to have more children. So maybe actually we should actually be encouraging. I mean, you've actually seen countries, a lot of countries.
Okay, that's fine. You can have more children.
Yeah, go on.
But are these children just going to be are these children actually going to be ambitious, or are they just going to follow after the leading of their parents who were on,
That's a, I just think
social housing and
that's a
benefits?
different conversation entirely. Right? Maybe it's up to us. If our education system was really good and whatever, that could maybe inspire them to want to do stuff. That's a separate challenge, I suppose, right? But like, even people that have quite a bit of money in the UK, let's be honest, even if you're making like, I don't know, 100K, it's probably still really expensive to have three children, probably, right? Like, it's just not easy to
Yeah, and that's another reason why I feel
have any
like,
children at all. So, like, the government probably does have to address that in some way, right? You can't have a situation where everyone, even people that are doing pretty well, like I'm doing pretty well, and let's be honest, I don't have any plans like to have a child right now. It's just like that's not in my financial plan at all. Do we really want that in our country? Like, do we still want to have a situation where the only children we have are like people that immigrants that come in with their children because native people, if you want to call them that, don't want to have children? We kind of have to address that, don't you think?
yeah, but this is my thing. Like, for example, say people started paying tax at around like the 60,000
Okay, 60,000 personal
mark.
allowance. Jesus Christ. How, do I want to live in your dictatorship.
Like that was
That's
like
insane. Jesus
that's the
Christ.
bottom tier. That's the bottom tier to pay tax.
60,000 pounds. The
Wait,
country's
no,
the country's not gonna have any tax
no,
revenue
because
left.
then people can actually no. If you look at the cost of living,
Yeah,
for
no, no,
example,
no. I
in
mean,
London, for
I wouldn't
example,
complain about it, but I mean, yeah, I'm just saying it's kind of funny. It's just funny. 6,000 is so high.
like no one can actually afford to rent a house, like unless you're in some sort of like high earning position. That like I feel like what the average person gets paid is probably the average rent. Because I know, like, when I like initially wanted to move out, I didn't qualify because I could just about afford the property that I was viewing, and it was just kind of unrealistic because it was like, how was I going to afford food and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Like, basically, my entire salary was going to go into my paycheck was just going to go into rent.
yeah, yeah. No, no, no.
So
That's
it's
an
like
interesting point,
things like
and I
that.
think
We'll be able to afford more things.
yeah, yeah, you're right. I actually agree with that policy as a general thing of like having people make more money because there's no point for the money to be going towards the government and taxes when people can be spending that in the real economy and like yeah, if most people had 500, 700, 800 pound, £1,000 extra a month to have, they'll just spend it, which is good for the economy, right? Because that means more going out, more this, more that. So overall, it's actually really better for the country. So I'll find that you find a sympathetic voice with me there in terms of finding ways to do that. But I think the original point you were making was about um people having children and like the two-child benefit cap and stuff. I think ultimately my general position is that whether or not people choose to have children that they can't afford, you know, I think there's something to be said about the fact that as humans, we should just be able to have as many children as we want. I think
Yeah,
if that means that you should have state help, I don't disagree with that because the idea that, and again, this is a bit philosophical, but the idea that people shouldn't have children because they can't afford them, I think there's something wrong about that. Like that just affects humanity in a way. Like we're removing a core part of what it means to be human because we've designed a global economy in a way that we have to rely on this fake invented thing called money. And so people can't, perform a kind of core animal function because of a fake thing we've designed called the economy. That doesn't sit right with me. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know. That just feels wrong. Do you get what I'm saying?
mm,
Am I talking crazy? I don't know. That's a
yeah,
philosophical point that I have. Like, if people want to have 10 kids, it's a natural human thing. We should be able to do that. And fuck the economy. Like, pay
yeah,
people to do it. I don't care. Like, if that's what you really want, you should be able to do that. Now, the other aspect to that is also then like, let's say we do have this economy and you have these children. Ultimately, children didn't offend anyone. So if you're poor and you can't afford to feed your kids, the government and we should feed them for you. Because we can't have a situation where children are going hungry. Because why do you have those kids? You should have known you can't afford them. Now the kids are here, we have a societal responsibility to look after them. In the same way we decided education. should be free because we're like, it shouldn't really matter if you can afford to send your kids to school or not. Education is such a fundamental human thing that we're just going to provide it for free for everyone. That makes sense. That's a good thing. And most people in the civilized world have agreed
Yeah.
with it. Healthcare is the same thing. Yes, ideally, you should be able to have enough money to pay a doctor. But we're like, you know what? Everyone gets sick. Everyone's going to need help. So if we have it, free at the point of use and funded through taxation, it's actually the cheapest way to do it as well, by the way. So for all those reasons, we're just going to provide it for free. That's a good thing. So I think I extend the same thing to children, like free school meals, child benefits, all those things. They're things that we just need as humans. And so I personally don't oppose benefits, like because again, for those two reasons, I just feel like there's something wrong about designing an economic system in which people can't have children because we don't have money. Ugh, it doesn't sit well.
I'm not against benefits, by the way. I just feel like there are a lot of people who do abuse it, like abuse the system.
I mean, I guess it's a bit like saying like there are a lot of people that because
Because like
they can't
even
afford
when you're
160,
trying to apply,
right? Yeah.
like when you're trying to apply for like social housing, like they'll ask you, um, if you're pregnant. It's like you get prioritized if you are, or if you have a young child, and
They don't,
so
right? I
it
mean, those people
makes.
are vulnerable.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I love that, by the way. But I feel like there's more of an incentive if you're not pregnant to maybe lie and say that you are,
I think that can be verified though, can't it?
because
Or is it like,
yeah, because like, it's like, okay, you're not pregnant, but at the end of the day, you are still desperate for housing, but you're not going to be prioritized and you're going to be probably just left on like in some archive list, because they don't see you. Yeah, so then it makes people feel like, do you know what? Maybe I should, or it wouldn't be like it. They kind of have an excuse to be irresponsible in that
I mean, maybe, but,
sense.
but, but I feel like, do you think that that's maybe more of an argument for finding a way to distribute housing better? And again, I'm not advocating for it, but just
Yeah,
walk with me here. If in a world where we've made education free because everyone needs it, we've made healthcare free because everyone needs it. Everyone kind of needs housing, right? Is there a way we can have it so like everyone that needs a house gets one? I don't know. Maybe we could because it's just a fundamental thing. Like it wouldn't be so bad if everyone just had housing as a thing, right? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe that's actually more of a better
yeah,
argument for that. And then also the point about the fact that some people can abuse it. I think ultimately, like that's gonna happen in any system we have. Like any system we have, it's a bit like crime. Like people are gonna commit crimes. Like because some people,
yeah,
like because our cars go up to I don't know 160 miles per hour. Some people choose to drive at 130. Dangerous, reckless, irresponsible. But is that an argument for limiting every car to 70 miles per hour? Probably not, because ultimately some people are just gonna abuse the system, whatever, regardless.
that's a good point.
Yeah, so like you're gonna have to leave a margin of error for like people that are gonna do what they want to do because of that. And also those people, I guess, if that's the life you want to live, obviously it's not the best, but it is what it is. But also remember what I said earlier: the vast majority of the money we spend on benefits is pensions, but no one talks about that. So if you want to really like reduce that bill, what you should
I actually didn't know that.
yeah, it's pensions.
That's interesting.
It's very costly. Yes. Yeah. Looking after old people, heating allowance, and all this kind of stuff. Because again, we have an aging population, so more people. Like there are more people that are older than there are younger, and so that's like that costs a lot of money, like a lot of money. And we know
Yeah,
this
I didn't actually know that, but I also don't think that's a bad thing
no, exactly. I agree with that because
because they are vulnerable as well.
do you see my point? We can't have a situation where we're like
Yeah,
old people should be freezing in their homes because no reason. Okay, we have to look after them. Right? We should just this is what society is about, and this gets to my larger point around capitalism, communism, left wing, right wing. I just think our whole system is messed up because if we created a system like this that requires us to have this much inequality or like we can't just do what we want to do as humans, like the human thing to do is to look after vulnerable people. If now we're now like, yeah, but we don't want to because you shouldn't have done that and you shouldn't have broken your leg and you shouldn't be old, it shouldn't be that, so we're not going to look after you. Like, what is the point of our system then? Like, it's useless. It's a bad system if it's literally making us less human. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe not, maybe you're coming close to my side. Maybe you're coming closer to the communist position. Maybe like look after everyone, right?
No, I don't think so, but I
Yeah.
definitely agree. I
I've
definitely agree with
propagandized
that.
you. I've done my job here. My job is done.
Yeah, you do make some really good points,
Appreciate it.
to be honest.
Yeah. So
One of my things about this whole argument as well is like I don't like blaming the people for being able to abuse a system that's made by not them or should be made by people smarter than them. Like, should we punish people for that? That's my ultimate question with stuff like this. Like, is it truly their fault for being able to abuse a system that
I
is
feel
there
like
for them?
accountability needs to be had, though.
Yeah, but on both sides, right? Like
Yeah,
the
both.
government has
Yeah,
made a system, and people are able to abuse that system. I don't penalize you know, you can penalize the person, but we should build a better system.
yeah,
You know,
someone
it's
asked me a
tough, but it's
question.
tough to do both. That's the problem.
Yeah, for sure. And again, this is the other X factor as well. When we talk about these things, and this is why again we go back to that thing about being a leftist, being a rightist, whatever, whatever. I do think a very easy thing to forget is that humans are incredibly complex animals, and there is no other animal on the planet, probably in history, that has tried to create almost a singular system of governance that applies to this many of the population at once. And what you're going to have inevitable with any system is that if you think one human being is complex, try to manage 8 billion of them. You have an infinite number of possibilities in that system alone. So much so that it's very possible that every type of simulation you try to run to create a system, you're always going to create one that's probably just as bad as the last one. Because the X factor in every system is human beings. It's a bit like saying like, oh, everyone should just be nice to each other, blah blah. Why did someone decide to commit crime or murder or this or that? Some people have mental illnesses. So sometimes it's a crime of opportunity, passion. There's so many reasons that like you can't even account for those many variables. So there's no way you can create a system that can address all of that. Like you just can't. Humans are that complex for a reason. And again, maybe that's a commentary on like trying to create a system that tries to govern this many people. But there's probably a reason why again, maybe animals are not that smart, obviously, generally compared to us. But there's also a reason why it's probably never been done before. Like we're just too complex of an animal to try and create a singular system to manage all of our affairs. And again, create a system that's actually not very good. So there is also that.
yeah. I feel like that's true. That's why in the UK there's so many parties now.
Exactly, because people just believe in different things, and sometimes it's all like seasonal, like it swings. Before we had Labour for a long time, now then we had Conservative for a long time. Now Reform came out of nowhere, now the Greens, and that's all being based on, if you think about it, emotion. It's not even as much policy, because policy is quite a lot of it, but a lot of the time you can see like the principal driving factor for supporting a political party or a political project is really how you feel. It can be how you feel about that person as a leader because you like them personally, could be about how you feel about the policy because it just hits you really strongly. Human emotion is really the driving factor in politics. And the fact that humans literally have an infinite amount of different types of emotions and feelings and thoughts, it just means that it's very long. Someone asked me a question in the chat.
One thing I can see now, though,
Mm-hmm. Go on.
is that like the majority of people in the UK are tired of Labour and Conservative.
Yeah, agreed, agreed.
Like they seem to be like two of the least popular parties, like especially if you take into account where they're coming from.
Agreed, agreed.
It's like the UK is actually just like fed up.
And I think that's a good thing, right? Because if you think about it, what's really bad for any country is to have a situation like the Americans have, where you have Democrats and Republicans, but they're really just the same parties, just with a different branding. Like that just means again, back
Yeah,
to
a
what I
lot of
said
a
earlier.
lot of Americans always say that.
Exactly, and back to what I said earlier. That just shows you how fake that democracy actually is, because you have choice, but really your choices are just the same. And so again, it makes you question how democratic this society or this country is if all you're ending up with all your choice is really just a blue team or a red team. Both of them are really doing the same things. How democratic is that? How different is it from
Yeah,
being
but there is like a radical group that just wants a complete revolution.
no, yeah. And in China as well, there are other parties. They're just really tiny, and they get regularly stifled and throttled by the Communist Party when they want to get big. Again, kind of not different to the America, where the Green Party regularly faces like interference from the Democrats and Republicans when they're trying to like establish themselves. So, I mean, we started this conversation talking about democracy and one party state. If you look into the details of a lot of our democratic countries, I think the UK to a lesser extent, but definitely the US, what you find is that if you start to score them on democracy, I won't be surprised if China scores higher. I'll be so real. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, it would not surprise me at all. Because again, the people have to be, um, there has to be a level of responsiveness that the government has to the people for them to want to lift 800 million people out of poverty. And I remember I saw this documentary on China on NHK. I don't remember what the name is, but it's a good documentary. NHK China. What was it called? Was it urbanization or something like that?
Sandy has a question in the chat for you.
Oh, I'll answer that in a minute. But anyway, I can't find the documentary, but the documentary was really about like the Chinese government was trying to build all these new houses in these urban areas, and they wanted people to move from the rural areas to the urban areas, and they had a lot of like consultation. They spoke to loads of different people. Like, it wasn't just like everyone has to do what we say. I mean, there was an element of that. I won't lie, but it was also quite democratic, like in a very consultative way, where they're speaking to people, getting opinions of different people, weighing their thoughts and it wasn't just like we're just gonna tell you what to do and everyone has to do it. Like, and most countries don't really run that way in the 21st century because it's not very effective way of running. Like, you have to be a bit more sophisticated. Anyway, Sandy says opinions on the deep state or the shadow government. Is that a real thing? Sandy's been watching too much Hollywood. I'm joking. It is a real thing for sure. I think it is more of a thing. I mentioned earlier about our bureaucracy in the UK and how a lot of policy is determined at the bureaucracy level, and that is true in every country, really, because politicians, again, they're doing their job on a very politicians only run the country for like 3, 4 years, 5 years. So you can't really have a situation where they're determining what the country is going to do because they're not there for that long. And so if you have them determining stuff, they'll just be chaos. And so what you have is that you have a massive bureaucracy who actually works in like numbers and facts, and these are like lifetime jobs or jobs that regular jobs that people go in there and stay there for a long time. And that's where a lot of the policy is determined. And then you have the politicians who serve as figureheads for these agencies, and they kind of basically come in and apply their own branding to stuff, or they'll be like, oh,
What about Epstein? Do you feel like that was a product of the
of the
deep state?
intelligence agencies. I don't think
Yeah,
so. I don't think so. I'll be honest. Because
like a blackmail operation.
I don't think so. Because I think people talk about like if we think about again, I gotta be careful what I say about this, but like the fundamental fact about people like Epstein and these agencies is that if the CIA wanted to get you to do what they wanted to do, I don't think they need pictures of you with inappropriately aged people to do it. The CIA can assassinate you if they really want to. Like, they can do that. The Mossad can do that. And the other thing about it is that a lot of the people that Epstein used to pal around with, these are people that they don't need convincing to work with the CIA or all these agencies. Is it not an open secret that Google, Facebook, all these people, is it not an open secret that they get government contracts? They build spy stuff for the government all the time. Amazon, they all do it. So the idea that the government will need to blackmail successful billionaires to do what they want them to do, it doesn't make any sense. Those people are their friends. Like, they already have the same interests. And the fact that these people are engaged in inappropriate, illegal, criminal, disgusting behavior is news. Yes, rich people that are really wealthy and have no limits in their power do despicable things. Is that like a new thing? So why would they need someone like Epstein to help them do influence operations?
Oh, so do you agree with Trump then that it's a hoax?
It's not, again, I don't know exactly what the story here is, right? It's hard to say like what the hoax is and what the
You don't want to agree. You don't want to agree with Trump.
I don't not want to agree with Trump. I just don't know what the hoax was. A lot of the stuff about Epstein was massively overblown. I will agree with that. Like, even if you look at the public record, there was only one time he was charged with like basically seeing someone that was underage, and that was in Florida. And the person, I think the girl was like 17, and actually she didn't even want to press charges again. You could say maybe she was.
Wait, who? Who are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about Epstein.
Epstein, yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, it's possible that he was doing these things on his island, and it's possible. Like, I'm not gonna say it's not true, but the fact is that he was just also.
I mean, the files are there.
But there's nothing that's been like that incriminating in the files. Like the files, there's nothing that's been like mind blowing or
I
crazy.
think the emails are, and the pictures stuff, and there's videos and stuff.
I mean, the most incriminating thing about what was in the pictures and videos for me was, I guess how close he was with, people in government. But again, is that the emails were strange, but there wasn't anything like.
But what about those little girls that were tied up, like hog-tied
Oh, I haven't
on
seen
the
that.
bed and stuff?
I haven't seen that. I don't know. Is that in the files? Can someone go and
Yeah.
Google it? I don't want to be spreading conspiracies. I
Yeah.
haven't seen that. I haven't seen that. But I think
No, it's actually in the, if you go on the link.
I don't want to. I don't
I
want.
don't even know if the link's still there,
I don't
but
want the government to check my computer. I think I'm okay. That sounds a bit too close to like the kind of thing
I was on the
gets you
link just
arrested.
to fact check
I
what
know,
everyone was
but
saying because
I'll leave that to someone. I'll leave that to other people. There's a good way for other people to explore. I'm gonna stay well away from that kind of stuff. I don't know.
yeah, it's very like draining.
I mean, again, ultimately, even if that was the case and they were doing those things, which again, it's not unbelievable. Am I meant to like? It's meant to surprise me. Thank you, Sandy. I try to keep it rational. Yeah. Is it meant to surprise me that rich people are engaged in disgusting behavior? Is that like news to me? Like, oh my god, I didn't know like rich people do disgusting things. Come on, like it's not really worth me getting my
True.
panties in a bunch over. It's kind of why I think ultimately. So that's why I don't really pay that much attention to it.
For me, I pay attention to it because I find it interesting, right? But it's usually that two things can be true at the same time.
Right.
Do they need to, like you said, do they need to have someone like Jeffrey Epstein collecting blackmail material to make these people do what they want? No. But it bloody well helps if they did. Like,
Yeah.
it definitely helps
Yeah,
if they did.
possibly. Make sure you're following me, guys, by the way, if you're not. I know.
Especially if it's like,
Go on.
I was just gonna say like, especially if it's like because like you said, they're friends, they probably do agree on a lot of things, but say there's something that they really want people to push and it's like a particular person is against it. I guess blackmail in that sense could actually work in their favor.
I mean, but think about it. Who's pushing what here? You have people like the intelligence agencies, right? The CIA, the Mossad, whatever, and then you have really wealthy billionaires like the Goldman Sachs CEOs and Morgan Stanleys and JP Morgans and all these kind of things. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find a time in which these people's interests are going to be divergent when it comes to what they really want. Ultimately, these people want to make money. Like the finance people want to make money, and the intelligence people have some stuff they want to, like some influence operations they want to do. Do you ever think there will be a time in which their interests are divergent? I just don't think so. They have the same.
A
They
good
are the same people.
example is like,
To be fair though, I do. Maybe I'll give a bit of pushback on this though. I feel like there's some people who go into government, right, looking to do the right thing, and they start to get a bit of leverage, they start to get a bit of sway, and then they get a little phone call. Yeah,
Like,
they get a little phone call.
give me an example of someone like you say.
Like I would want to go into government, right? I've seen, but because I pay too much attention to the news, I pay too much attention to what it serves, right? I may not want to go into it, right? Just off rip. But I do think that there are some people who definitely go into government trying to do the right thing. But you're gonna get to a point where you may also notice that doing the right thing is just not possible because there's too much in play to even try. Or you get a little phone call and it tells you to just, hey, love that promotion, yeah. Here's a little. Do you have a charity yet? Let me just put a little 10K in the charity, yeah. But it's not, and that's why I say like there will always be good people. I think there's always good people, but like, how good can you be in a society that's not really pushing good? They're pushing money, right? Morals can get corrupted by that money, and
in that scenario you just described, just paying those people off is a more effective way to get approval than getting blackmail material on them. So why wouldn't you just pay them?
oh, that's why I said, do you have a charity open yet? Let me put 10K in the charity, and that's the paying off, right? But again, I think when people do get to positions of like, who was it? Who's the guy who got sniped out? JF Kennedy? Do I think he was all good and whatnot? No. But they knew that he was against their agendas. They took him out on live TV, right? They would have definitely tried to have paid him off, or no? Like, they would have definitely had some blackmail material. They would have tried to pay him off. But he still gets taken out at the end of the day, right?
Shout out to my Canadian people. Shout out to Drake. Shout out to Toronto. Name Drake from Toronto.
Shout out to Drake.
Yeah, okay, JFK I haven't really known much about, but I feel like if JFK was an inside job, obviously maybe he wouldn't have leaked just because of how much of a challenge it would be. This guy said not Drake, please. Drake is the most famous thing out of Canada apart from maple syrup.
What about Canada Goose?
Canada Goose, it's not as famous as Drake.
Wait, Drake and Celine Dion.
Celine Dion is Canadian.
Oh, Celine. So yeah.
Yeah, Auntie Celine is Canadian, no?
I didn't know that.
Even though we claim her,
Celine.
claim her in Jamaica, she's Jamaican in Jamaica.
I didn't know Celine Dion was. She was born in Charlemagne, Canada. Damn, who knew? It's not me. Anyway, African the Bonks, nice to see you here. We've been going for about almost 3 hours. I'm just going to wrap up for 3 hours. This has been really fun. We're talking about all things, but we didn't even get to talk about the social issues I want to talk about. Because Shay, we could have been talking about some dating stuff that I did some videos and I went viral, but we didn't really get to that, which is fine. Obviously.
Okay.
I had a whole theory about. I did a couple videos in the week about not buying women drinks in the club, and also B,
not buying women drinks.
Yeah, in a club or in a function or whatever. As a personal policy, I don't do that.
Yeah,
you don't do it.
No, I don't.
That's cash loss, man.
So you don't buy a girl. You don't buy if you're interested in a girl, you wouldn't buy her a drink.
I try not to. It's social.
Why not? But why wouldn't you?
Because it's like it's cash loss, man. It's
okay,
like
so would you let a girl buy you a drink?
No.
I mean, I would say.
Do you know what it is?
But like, I don't drink.
It's like with
austerity. Why am said austerity?
With
everyone's
dating,
got tighten their belts, man.
You know, with dating. Yeah, with dating, man, dating is expensive, to be fair. And like even interacting with women is expensive.
The bigger reason for that.
You got.
I'll give you
a drink.
Shay, I'll give you some context. When I made that video, it wasn't really about for me. It wasn't about the money. Well, the drink is like £10. It's not the worst thing in the world. But to me, it's about what it says about you. If you're in the club or in a function, whatever the motive is, and I don't know, you're feeling this girl, and you guys are dancing together, I genuinely think the kind of girl that's attracted to you and is like, YM is interrupting because it's so funny. He said brothers be tricking. I don't know if he's buying a drink or tricking, but like I know what you're trying to say. The kind of girl that's into you and attracted to you and stuff, you can just buy your own drink. If you really like, just buy your own drink and just do what you want to do. When I go out, I don't even spend any money. Like I pre-drink before I leave the house. So that will mean that the only money I'm spending in that function is on someone else. Why would I do this? It doesn't make any sense.
How is buying a drink tricking?
No, it's not tricking. But
You know, I feel like
he's being facetious. He's just being like.
One of the lessons that I've definitely gotten from like 18 to now is that save the expensive stuff for your girlfriend who actually cares about you, man. save the expensive stuff.
But what if you never get to that stage because you don't want to do petty stuff like you don't want to buy her a drink?
Bro, honestly, this is a financial trap chasing after women with your money, especially like if you can just thousands of pounds you end up throwing away at women. Save all that expensive stuff. Save all that expensive stuff for your woman who's actually invested in you, who actually cares about you, who actually sees a future in you. Like, why are you spending this money on like random women?
Also think about it. Imagine I'm in a motive, right? And I'm dancing, which has actually happened like a few weeks ago. I went to 60. I don't know if you heard of 60. It was a French thing. And then I was dancing with this girl, and then she was like, "Are you not going to buy me a drink?" And the exact words I said to her, I'm such a nerd. I said to her, "It's against my personal constitution." And she stopped dancing with me afterwards. So what? It's just a dance. Like the price of me dancing with you is like £12. I don't want to pay. I just dance with another girl that doesn't care for that.
Okay, I'm trying to see if this. Okay, so would you open the door for like someone who was?
Of course he was.
Being.
He's not that serious. Opening
Of course, yeah. Come on.
you give him opening the door to this.
Okay.
That's not the same.
So what? So okay. So being a gentleman, how does it like? How does it? Okay.
You're paying for attention, basically.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to do that. Like, a girl can just dance with you and just buy her own drink, like, right? She's saying that if you don't buy me a drink, then I don't want to dance with you anymore. That's really the price. So do you want to pay £10 for? You don't have to. Like, you don't have to. You really don't. Like, you can just dance with someone else that doesn't need that. Like, you can just do that. So that's my position. I just think it's also like, again, I've been in a situation where a girl asked me to buy her a drink. I said no, and she just kept on dancing anyway because I'm attractive enough. I'm enough, as girls say. We don't need all that other stuff. If it's like easier just to like the objective is
I
like
see
you have
what this
time.
is.
What is this? Sorry. What do you mean?
I see what this is. It's like, oh yeah, I'm enough. This is the I'm the prize. No, I'm the prize. No, I'm the prize. This is that. That's what's happening here.
I mean,
Okay?
You know what is shit? I don't know.
I mean, I guess when I go out, I am like the better part of 5'11". I've got tats. I look good. So I mean, look,
True.
you know, I mean, I don't have to pay for it. Basically, there are other people that have to do that to get attention. I don't really have to because I can just dance with another girl. Like, you're not the only girl in this place that would give me attention. So if that's the price of your attention, I'm okay to just not pay for it and just dance with someone else because I can just do that. And again, I've been in a
When
situation.
it comes to like you guys are on a dinner. Sorry, go on.
Oh, yeah, tell me, I cut you off. Go on.
No, go on.
No, well, I was just gonna say, like, I've been in a situation where I
No,
said
no, you were
girls can
talking.
dance with me anyway. So, like, again, it just shows that I don't have to do that. Like, other people can that feel like they have to pay that price. They can, but I personally don't need to pay that price. So I want. It's a bit like, I guess it's kind of like the reverse is like a girl is like, let's say as a girl, you're like, I only want guys that are willing to do that for me. If you're attractive enough, there probably will be guys that are willing to do that for you, right? And if a guy doesn't want to, and you feel like I'm gonna get a guy that can, it's because you have that kind of social capital, right, to do it. So why would you dance with a guy that's not gonna buy you a drink when you can attract other men that are willing to do that? It's kind of the same thing, basically, just in reverse.
So when do you stop being stingy with your pockets?
How am I being stingy? I'm not spending it on someone else. It's my money. On top of my money, you're calling me stingy. What do you mean?
No, but like a drink, like okay, when it comes to like a dinner date and it's like, okay, cool, everyone pays for their own meal, that's different. But like if you're just buying a drink, it's just like
I'll pay for my girl on a date. I'll pay for that. That's different. That's different.
But you also got to be, what's it called again?
She's not your girl yet.
No.
Yeah,
on the
but
first
then
date, if we
I
get
think
to the dating, I'm gonna pay for the first date. Like I will pay. Like if we get to that state, I will pay. That's my like.
and that's what I said.
Accepted that societal standard. I'll pay for the date. But like on a in a club, I don't even know this girl. I don't. Even, what do you mean I'm being stingy? This is a stranger. She might as well be someone on the street begging me for money. I don't have to give that person my money. That doesn't mean I'm stingy. That's my choice. Do you give everyone that begs you for money? Do you give them money? All of them?
Yeah, at least with a date, I've consented to it. I'm partly part of the idea. Like it's not the same. It's not the same thing. Yeah, like a date, we've both mutually agreed to go on this date, as opposed to like I'm talking to you at a club and the price of the conversation is me to buy you a £12 drink.
Do you not see that? Okay, the price of the conversation of the downs of the wine is a drink. No, I don't want to pay.
I didn't know that's what you meant. I thought just like you guys were already like talking and you was vibing, and then like you wanted to, gift her a drink.
Even if we're vibing.
Yeah, but why can't you just gift her a drink? It's like a courtesy drink. Like, oh, I'm really into you.
What if I gave her water? Now what?
That's fine. That's you.
I don't.
You know that's not fine.
Come on, don't lie.
You know how women would react if you come back with a water.
Well, what is like? Well, that could have been free. Tap water.
Yeah, with the ice and a lemon. Shit, I feel like I've convinced you. You see my position now.
There's some girls who take drinks and then they still don't want you next to them. Like they want you to go away. Like they just want you to buy the drink and then just.
Oh, so that's
50% of the time.
This is part of what we're saying. You're making my point. You're making our point for us.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, half of the time it's just free juice for the woman, and then like she goes about her business.
You're an entertainment enhancer. That's what you are. Like you enhance the entertainment of the night. Like you're just a.
And then they went back to the group. They went back to the group and told them that they just got free drink.
Free beverage.
What clubs are you going to? I don't really go.
Go over to that guy. He buys free drinks. He must be mad.
I go to like I guess these tickets. As a black person in London, right, you have to go to like all these tickets. So do you go to like recess and stuff, like DOT and all these things?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm not in the club scene.
Oh really? What's your scene?
Yeah.
The UTK.
I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not in the club scene at all.
Yeah, man, I've got a mortgage and shit, bro. I can't be splashing money.
How do you lay your hair down? How do you unwind?
Like me, it's just maybe like a close friend or like a family friend invites me somewhere, and then there's normally like mutuals there, but like to just go on a night out, I've stopped doing that like early 20s. Because it's just a bit draining, just because like I feel like a lot of people from where I come from in London, like a lot of people who are like really into like clubbing and stuff, who I know personally, they were like going to raves at like a young age where I was never really allowed because my mom was a bit strict. So it kind of just made me like a homebody. And then like when I got to the age where I could go out, it just like I would feel so drained. Like I didn't know how people could just do it every weekend like that. So I was just kind of just like, oh, it's not really worth the hype. So it just kind of, it just never really appealed to me.
Okay. So your parents are quite strict.
One thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like there was like maybe one or two that I could like beg to go to, but like everyone that was going to like 16 under raves and stuff, I was never allowed. I was never allowed to go.
I didn't go out when I was 16.
What do you mean, who am I fighting for? I don't know what that means.
AJ, I don't know. Like, tell me if you've experienced the same. But like, when you're now that like I'm a functioning adult and I have to pay bills and stuff like that, like I'm so much more stingy with like my dates and who I go on dates with, because like it's just cash loss. And like, there's been dates I've been on where it's been like. No, there's been dates I've been on where it's been a nice date, but after the date I've been like, man, it was a nice date, but I'd rather have my £90 back. Like it's a nice date, but I'd rather have my £100 back, man. I could have put down my stocks and shares. I could have paid off my gas and electricity. There's so many times I've been on dates, I've been like, she's alright, but man, I'd rather have the money back.
I think for me, it's more
about
being very clear about why you're going out. Because now I'm trying to. I'd like to be in a serious relationship, but 95, 99, every girl I've met so far, clearly, I don't see myself being in a relationship with them. So it begs the question: why would I? What's the point of me going on this date? What's the end goal of this? Because it's not going to get me close to what I actually want.
But where do you find these girls?
What do you mean by that?
There's women everywhere.
What do you mean by that?
They're your friends.
You said that you're not really like into them like that. So where were you actually meeting them?
There's women everywhere. There's women at work. There's women at church. There's women on social media. There's women everywhere.
So give me a second. I meant like they don't, I don't see them in like this could be my forever person. Like they're not bad people or anything like that. It's just like for whatever reason, like I just didn't. We just don't have that chemistry that I want in someone that I want to be my forever person. So they're not bad people.
That's fair enough. But where in general, like where are you actually meeting these girls though?
When I go to like events and stuff, I meet women. I also meet people.
Oh, okay.
People in the gym, like wherever. I meet people wherever. I'm a very talkative person.
Okay.
So like I approach people wherever and whenever I see them. I'm not really shy about where I meet people. Like it's a range of places. So yeah. Where do you meet people? Is that bad or something?
I wanted to ask him about like talking to he's gone. He said like his colleagues. Like that is No.
I don't know about all that.
Colleagues are off limits.
Yeah, they're off limits. I agree with that. They are off limits. Here's the final minute. I'm gonna try and wrap up 3 hours. It's been a really good conversation actually. I'll be able to clip some of this and post it to my TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't think you're following me, by the way.
When I was like 19, I was working at Gatwick in the check-in for TUI before they were TUI. This is like when they were Thompson, like just before they turned into TUI. And like and like there was like two colleagues, like two of like our co-workers, and they had, let's just say, linked up outside of work, and it was just the topic of discussion like every lunch break, and it was just so embarrassing. I just feel like colleagues should just be off.
Shay, currently my managing director, his wife is the marketing director. So
Wow.
yeah,
So did they meet?
It happens. Yeah, it happens all over the place. It happens everywhere.
Fair enough. But is everyone like in their business, or is it like?
It's hard to be because he's the managing director, but we all know, and it's kind of like just a quiet secret, right?
Yeah.
What was my
Fair enough. I guess if you're like high rank.
I'm trying to get the 20k likes before I sign off, please, if you guys don't mind. To try and boost my TikTok bona fide. Start recommending my likes. And if you're in the chat and you find the conversation interesting and you're not following me already, do make sure you do that. The plan is to be super consistent with this. So we're gonna be back next week at 2 p.m. Also, I think I have a link to my Discord in my TikTok, so that can be a good place for us to like, kind of talk about topics we're gonna talk about. If you have anything interesting, I want to make this like a community-led thing. So Shay, please do join Discord because you have like different perspectives and opinions in me, which I love. So if you see anything during the week that you find,
I want to follow you, but I don't know if I'm gonna like be triggered by your content.
Maybe it can be good practice for you, so you don't get triggered so much. But also you can just disagree with me, which is fine. We had a very good conversation, like today, right? So the more stuff like this you're exposed to, I think it's more interesting. Like, it's boring to just talk to all the people that are just like thinking exactly the same as you. You don't really want an echo chamber, so that's why I even enjoy the conversation with you. Like, I don't know if it was just me and like obviously like Kossi and the other guys in there, we kind of largely have the same positions. The conversation just wouldn't be as fun. So it actually just makes it more fun when we have people like yourself coming in, different ideas. You to like
opposition.
Expand the conversation a bit more. So yes, we're at 20k. Thank you so much. So make sure you join the Discord as well, and bring in stuff like whatever you find in your space, in your kind of week, as you find social stuff, political stuff, philosophical stuff. Let's drop it in the Discord. I know I should be more active in the chat. Thank you to Kosi and the other guys for pushing me, but I know I'm not very. I could do better there. So that can be a great way for us to kind of like get topics like that we want to talk about, stuff that's happening in the week, interesting stuff. And by the time we get to the weekend, we just have it's like a hangout. Like we just a bunch of people chatting about what's been going on in the week, what's going on in the world around us. Very interesting stuff. So thank you to everyone for your participation. I'm gonna try and clip this and post some of the highlights to my TikTok. Look out for that. You might hear your voice. Maybe you can share it with your parents, Shay.
Oh no.
Share it with your friends and let them know what you've been doing in your spare time on the weekends. All right. Shout out to everyone that's been so far, participated, commented, joined live, talked.
Okay, thanks for having me.
No worries. Hopefully see you.
Nice to meet you, and you as well, Kosi. Would you come every week?
You talking about me or who?
Yeah.
Yeah. Every week. I'm gonna put the live event. I'm gonna make the event for next week, so you guys can register for that.
Because I've been on your live before, but you wasn't paying attention. You was at the gym, but you was talking to me though. But you was at the gym.
I was locked in. Summer body. This is summertime. We gotta get our summer body. I was experimenting, like doing different types of like live stuff, because obviously it might be a bit boring to always sit in the room. So like being outside, doing something else. But obviously, it makes it harder to kind of do like something a bit more focused, like you mentioned. So apologies. I know you love attention. I'll try and give you more attention. I'll bet.
I actually don't.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
It is. I'll try and do it in different places so I can like. I think sometimes I'll try and get maybe a friend to join as well, just so we can have like just different voices, different angles. Just make it mad conversational. Like a lot of these things can be like I know like ostensibly speaking, they're like politics and stuff can be boring. But you can see in the way we talked about it today, it was actually fun, isn't it? Like it wasn't just like boring, question time, whatever. It was just adding our personal experiences, adding different ideas. Sometimes we go philosophical. There are different ways to have these conversations and kind of make it genuinely entertaining. And I'd like to think, I've definitely had fun for the last 3 hours. So you've all also had fun as well. And I will go to the gym.
See, your friend, he's so shady. Look what he said.
It was some shade. No shade. Put that in small brackets. No shade.
I just had to defend my point, I guess. That's why I came up.
No, I like that. It was I like that. Yeah, it's good. It was fun. It made for a fun conversation, right?
I got muted. That's why I even came into this live, because I got muted in another live. It was another political live. I got muted because
TikTok. I'm so dead. Just terrorizing people on this app. You're like, get this out of here. I've got enough. What were you saying in the other live for you to get muted?
No, it was a Jamaican live, and they were talking about the Jamaican Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition. So obviously the Prime Minister that I like is actually the one that's in power. So I basically just said that God
super fan.
No, I was basically just saying, oh, God rejected like the opposition. That's why they're the opposition. And then that got me muted.
What do you like about
that got me muted? I think I really feel like he has like faith in the Jamaican people, and he has like faith in Jamaica as a whole. And I really appreciate that. I feel like he has actually tried his best to try. Well, we don't have a lot of like capital because we're a very small island, and like a lot of our past leaders have been very corrupt, and so I feel like he came into office and like we had so much debt. He lowered the debt. Crime has lowered. The unemployment rate has also lowered, and I feel like he's just done a good job. And yeah, people don't really focus on the positive things he's done. Like they keep focusing on the things that it's kind of hard for him to fix, like the roads. Like we have really bad roads in Jamaica. But that's, like I said, like that's a financial issue. That's like we don't have the money. Like, so, and I feel like he's trying to avoid putting us in any more debt. He's actually trying to reduce our debt. So, yeah, I like him as a prime minister. I feel like he's better than the opposition.
Turn to China. If you want your roads fixed and more infrastructure, go to the Chinese, man. They can build it for you nice and cheap.
The Chinese, they have actually helped a lot. Like they've built a lot of bridges. They've built a lot of highways. They actually have.
I was being sarcastic. I'm saying like that communism doesn't seem so bad now, does it?
This is the thing, though. Like I feel like why is there no, but I feel like they have an ulterior motive. Like there's something that they probably want.
I mean,
that's why they're being so kind.
Whichever natural resources you guys have, you probably want to buy that off you at lower prices.
Yeah, well, we recently just found oil.
Oh, they're very interested in that. Yeah, I mean, of course, no one's gonna do it.
But so is the United States, because Trump is also getting kind of cozy.
I mean, yeah, no one's gonna do it out of goodness of their heart, right? But it seems like the Chinese, at least because they're trying to grow as like a world power, they're willing to do stuff like much cheaper. And America's bringing democracy. And the other thing about Chinese, like they don't care that much about your internal affairs. Like they don't want to try and like change your prime minister. They don't care about all that. They just want to do business. Which is
yeah. They built a children's hospital as well.
You like music, don't you? Remember that right wing guy that was like,
Do you
if that's
know
racism, I
what?
need more of that racism.
Okay.
Remember that black guy that said that? That died of HIV later. It was like, if that's racism,
What?
I need that racism. Let me try and find a video of it. It's so funny.
I haven't seen that
I haven't seen
video.
that. Yeah, need more of that. Let me try and find it. You guys might remember that.
I guess I'm not completely against China, but there's a few red flags when it comes to.
Oh, this is
May,
the guy.
may I ask what your red
Wait,
flags about China are?
I like
Or
it.
wait. Watch
Is
this.
I like it. If
Let's
that's
check the video.
racist,
You guys found it?
no?
Oh, wait, one sec. Let me just try and put it. This is the guy from like when Trump was running the first time.
this is the new era of racism. I need that racism.
Oh,
I like
beggar.
it. I like it. If that's racist, let me get more of that.
Oh, can't
This is
hear
the
it.
new era of racism. I need that.
Oh no! Why can't you guys hear it?
No.
Oh, that's so annoying. Oh, I don't know why you guys can't hear it. Let me see if it's my settings. Oh, you can't. I don't know if it's my settings. I don't even know what it is. Never mind. The guy was basically saying, oh, you can read it. Yeah, can you even read it? You can't even see it. Can you? It's too small. He was talking. It was basically when Trump was running and everyone was
Bit
saying he was
blurry.
racist, and he was like, if this is the new era of
I
racism,
dropped.
I need that racism. Let me get more of that. Because everyone was debating about how Trump being
To be
racist,
fair, that's how.
and he was like, "Well, Trump actually has a lot of policies that help people and blah blah." And then he's like, "You know what? If all those policies are racist, let me get more of that. Let me get more racism, please." Oh, it's hilarious. Anyway, sorry, I diverted the conversation. My bad.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say like because I said red flags. The red flag is just the communism. Yeah,
I mean, but if communism is getting all these
and
results,
like
maybe it's not so bad though. Like, it seems like you hate
yeah,
that
but
word
they
and stuff, but
yeah,
then
but they do a lot of things like child labor and stuff.
child labor.
Child labor.
What are you talking about? Who's doing
Yeah,
child
they
labor?
do, and a lot of their they have a lot of sweatshops in China,
I mean, okay, they do to be fair, yes. I don't know if they have child labor.
and people
I don't think they
wanna
have child. I think they just have like
but the
poorly
thing
paid
is,
work.
people always want to get onto like Nike and all these big companies, but they never really want to get onto the Chinese government who aren't regulating
Yeah, I mean, I guess
properly.
sweatshops are not great, but sweatshops are just like poorly paid factory workers, really, isn't it? Which is like, okay, obviously in the UK we have a bit more rights when it comes to that. Fair enough, that's a good point.
Which is wrong ethically.
Yeah, it is wrong. That is true. That is true. But we all like cheap stuff, sadly, so we all have ourselves to blame at the same time. Because who doesn't like that cheap China stuff? Everyone does.
But I don't mind paying if it's worth the money. I don't mind paying extra. But like I said, we need to keep more of our money, which is why I feel like tax. The threshold should be a lot higher than what it is.
60,000? Let's get you for Prime Minister.
I was actually that's not the actual. It's a lot higher than that actually, but I just said that because I didn't want to get too much pushback. I kind of got a bit of
You didn't want
pushback
to get
from
pushed
you,
back. You
but
said 60,000
yeah, like
pounds for personal allowance.
yeah, because really it should be 100K.
100K. So no, everyone under 100K pays zero taxes. Jesus.
Yes, and everyone who because really and truly that should be considered like 100K and up should be high earning, and then they should pay tax. Everybody else shouldn't.
And then everyone that's making above
I
100K
agree
start
with
getting mad
this.
and start saying, "Oh, why am I paying tax at over 100K? I'm so poor. This is unfair. Everyone that's under 100K, I'm paying to finance all their lives and stuff like that. I don't want to do that anymore." And then, anyway, it's 3:12, and I just said I was gonna cut off at 3 o'clock. So not 3 o'clock, after 3 hours. So this has been nice. Make sure you all join. I've literally just made the live thing for next week. So make sure everyone register so you can join promptly at 2 p.m. next weekend. And let's have a good time.
Okay, how do I register? I don't know how to do that.
If you go on my page and you go on live, it should be like a live event for you to register for. Or do I have to? Yeah. Do I have to add it to my? I don't think I have to add it to my thing. Can you guys see on my page, my live events? Listen, I might make a post about it so that you can see it in the post. I'll link it to the post. I can even post it as a picture. One second,
I can see, yeah.
I'll post it on my story as well, even. So you guys can also see. Let me just post this on my story. So everyone can register. I'll post it on my story. Oh, I meant to take a picture. I just took a video. Lol. Photo. Nice. Why is it not? Oh no, it's not even doing what I wanted to do. Never mind. I was trying to post, but it's not letting me add it to anything. If you guys can see it, just register. It's not really working at the moment, but I'll try and fix that. Did this go to my link tree is invalid? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. Don't click on the link tree. Just click on the Discord link. That one should work, I think. The link tree needs to be updated. I was actually updating the link tree last couple nights ago when I was doing the doing my thing. When I was making a card game. I'm making a card game, by the way, guys. I mentioned that a couple times. Be on the lookout for that. What in the world games is coming? Let me show you guys a preview of what it looks like.
That is not true, because Green doesn't want... Oh gosh, this conversation is just going to keep going on.
Yeah, I actually saw the link tree because the link tree is the link, isn't it? I don't know why it's not working, but thank you for letting me know that. I'll check and look into it. All right, this has been nice. I gotta go have some food now. I haven't eaten today.
All right, enjoy your day.
Thank you. You too. What's the plan? There's no sports anymore.
I actually don't have nothing planned. Just a chill day today. Probably just be on TikTok. I'll go and terrorize someone else once you come offline. I'll go find another live.
Too funny. Of course, he just said that. Though, Jinx. He literally just said that.
How can we both be thinking that at the same time? That's funny.
Yeah, enjoy. I'm gonna go to the gym, I think, after I eat. My birthday in 2 weeks. I should probably let you guys know. Maybe not next week, but the week after that. I may or may not do a live stream because it's my birthday on the 20th of June, and I'm having a party, so I might be a bit wiped out from that party. I might go live and just like not have any.
Nice.
I'll just be in my car and just, like, chatting to you guys. Just talk to me when I recover from my hangover or something like that. But just letting you guys know now. But otherwise, enjoy. Next time, invite a friend. Everyone's got to invite at least one friend or something. Let's start growing our community.
Okay, I'll try to find my reform friend.
Reform friend, exactly. Yeah.
Gemma. She loved this conversation.
Bring her true. Right. Speak to you all later. Adios.
All right, bye.